Chapter 3065. He didn't know what to do. After all, a heaven-class early-phase master wasn't someone he could easily deal with. So when Sanhuang heard about a heaven-class early-phase master, he was a bit dumbfounded. Sanhuang, don't worry, Shirhan has already found a bodyguard for Shirhan. It's a heaven-class early-phase master. Feng Tianlin said. You just need to think of a reason to make Shirhan accept this new bodyguard. Okay, I can do that easily. These years, Sanhuang had been by Shirhan's side, and he was deeply trusted by her, but he was still a bit worried. Master, they are both heaven-class early-phase masters. Can they be a match for Dongfang family? This isn't a normal heaven-class early-phase, it's a heaven-class early-phase master who can fight above his level. Hee, you'll know when you see him. Feng Tianlin smiled and said, I'll send you his phone number, you can contact him directly. What? Can fight above his level? Which ancient sect's disciple is this? Feng Sanhuang was a little surprised. These kinds of masters weren't normal masters, they were usually important targets of the ancient sects or families. Just like Feng Nidian of House Feng, they were all people who could fight above their level. But how could this kind of person be a bodyguard for Shirhan? They were all extremely arrogant masters. Hee, you'll know when the time comes. Feng Tianlin didn't say much. But you have to go to the city he's in and live with him. This is also the master's request. Feng Tianlin told Sanhuang about some of Lin Yi's requests and the things to pay attention to. Okay. Although Feng Sanhuang was puzzled, he could only nod. Not long after hanging up, Sanhuang received a text from Feng Tianlin. It was a phone number, and the owner was called Ling Yi. After getting the number, Feng Sanhuang went to see Su Shirhan. Feng bro, what's up? Shirhan saw Sanhuang walking over and asked. Under normal circumstances, Sanhuang, as a bodyguard and driver, rarely took the initiative to talk to her. Wang's sis was in charge of the work. Miss Su, I've received news that the people who attacked you before will probably attack you again soon. Feng Sanhuang said seriously to Su Shirhan. So, for your safety, I want to find my friend to be responsible for your safety. Those people still want to fight? Su Shirhan was shocked. She had been keeping a low profile recently, but nothing happened during this time. She thought that the matter was over, but she didn't expect that those people still wanted to make a move. Yes, the information should be accurate. Feng Sanhuang nodded. Sure, as for the salary, you can just tell Wang sis. It's better to have an extra bodyguard. Shirhan didn't doubt Feng Sanhuang's words and chose to believe him. However, my friend has other things to do. Can we go to his city and live for a while? Feng Sanhuang asked. We still have to go to his city. Su Shirhan paused. It wasn't that she didn't want to go, but going to a foreign city suddenly wouldn't be easy. That's for sure. If we ask him for help, we have to accommodate him, right? Feng Sanhuang didn't say anything about the salary. In fact, he didn't know how much it was. From his perspective, it was already good enough for a heaven-class master to help. You're right. Shirhan didn't have the temper of those superstars. Hearing Feng Sanhuang's words, she nodded. However, the manager Wang's sis heard the conversation between Feng Sanhuang and Shirhan. She was a bit unhappy. Xiao Feng, can't you protect Miss Su? Who else do we need to look for? If she goes to another city, how are we going to do our work? Miss Su is going to release her album in the first half of next year. If she goes to a small city without a recording studio, how are we going to make an album? Wang sis, listen to Feng bro, Shirhan shook her head. Only she knew how vicious those people were. That time in the dark alley, if it wasn't for Lin Yi, she would have died there. Feng Sanhuang never said anything he wasn't sure of. Since he said he wanted help, it meant that he didn't have absolute confidence. So Shirhan wouldn't argue with him on this matter. Oh, Wang sis was a bit unwilling. She didn't know how dangerous it was, but Shirhan insisted, so she could only give up. Feng Sanhuang, on the other hand, directly called Ling Yi. Hello, is this Mr. Ling Yi? I'm the bodyguard of the person being protected. May I know which city you're in? Feng Sanhuang asked politely. The person was a heaven-class master. It's me. I'm in Donghai City. When you guys arrive at Donghai Airport, I can pick you up. Ling said. Since this was Feng Shirshan's sister, Lin Yi was naturally more friendly. Okay, we'll take today's flight. We'll arrive at Donghai Airport at night. Feng Sanhuang said. We're VIP members of the airline. We have a special green channel. You can just wait for us at the exit. I'll book the ticket and tell you the exact time. No problem. Lin Yi nodded. After the call, Lin Yi called Meng Yao and Yushu down. Shield bro, it's the weekend. Why did you call us so early in the morning? What's the matter? Yushu yawned as she came down. Meng Yao was a little puzzled as well. What did Lin Yi want to call them up on a weekend morning? Yao, Shu, I called you this time because I have something important to tell you. Now that he'd confirmed the mission, it was about time to tell them the specifics of the mission. After all, the celebrity they were protecting had to stay at home as well. Oh, what is it? Yushu was curious. Meng Yao didn't ask, but she opened her eyes wide and looked at Lin Yi, waiting for him to say something. It's like this. I'm short on money recently. You guys know that, so I accepted a bodyguard mission. I'm in charge of protecting someone. Lin Yi said straightforwardly. Bodyguard mission? Shu paused. Is it to protect a man or a girl? It's a girl, a celebrity. Lin Yi said. Chapter 3066. But after saying this, she blushed. Why did she stop him? What was she afraid of? Was she afraid that the new girl Lin Yi was protecting would fall in love with Lin Yi? HM? How could it be? She didn't fall in love with Lin Yi. What I mean is, you have to protect me and Shu, how can you protect other people? Meng Yao saw that Lin Yi and Shu were looking at her strangely, so she blushed and tried to explain. But Shield Bro's mission's already over. Are you afraid that someone else is going to steal your misposition in Shield Bro's heart, Yao Yao? Yushu, on the other hand, knew Meng Yao very well. How? How is that possible? It's just that the final exams are coming, Shield Bro shouldn't go far, right? And it's New Year in a month. Meng Yao was still explaining incoherently. It's okay, I'll let them move to the villa, I won't go far. Lin Yi said, plus, my follower Feng Shishan asked me to help with this mission, I can't refuse. I see, alright then. Meng Yao thought that it'd be fine if he moved into the villa, since he'd be under her and Shu's watchful eyes. He shouldn't be able to do anything with that superstar, right? One had to know that she didn't even need to do anything, Shu could turn the world upside down. Back then, Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao were speechless because of Shu, weren't they? Then I'll go prepare 2 rooms on the first floor, then I'll pick them up. Lin Yi nodded and went to prepare the rooms. Grandma's son had already left. Housework. In other words, everyone did it together. After Lin Yi left, Yushu said, Yao Yao sis, don't worry, isn't she just a small star? She can't threaten Yao Yao sis' position. If she has any perverted thoughts towards Shield Bro, Shu will let her know who's the big wife in this villa. Besides, Shield Bro has seen Sherhan sis before. How could an ordinary little celebrity catch his eye? Why would I worry about that? I'm just worried that the celebrity won't be easy to get along with. Meng Yao, naturally, wouldn't admit it. But thinking about it, Lin Yi had seen Su Sherhan before. If he wanted to hit on someone, it would be Su Sherhan. Why would he be interested in a small celebrity? Thinking of this, he felt much more at ease. It doesn't matter. She lives in our territory, so she has to follow our rules. She must be begging Shield Bro to be her bodyguard. If she's not willing, she can just leave. Yushu said. After Lin Yi tidied up the room, it was almost time. He drove to Donghai Airport. Feng Sanhuang bought a plane ticket at noon, so he could arrive in the afternoon. Since there was danger, they had to meet up with Lin Yi as soon as possible to ensure Su Sherhan's safety. Donghai Airport's VIP lounge, although this lounge was exclusively for VIPs. The people who came here to pick up the people who came down from the VIP passage, but there were quite a lot of people here. The seats were almost full. Lin Yi looked around and found a good seat near the window. It was a big sofa, and no one was sitting there. He walked over and sat down, picking up a magazine and reading it. Lin Yi didn't bother with pleasantries as he walked over and sat down. The plane would arrive in half an hour, so Lin Yi arrived a little earlier. However, Lin Yi hadn't been reading the magazine for long when an extremely arrogant voice came from behind him, giving him a big fright. Motherfucker, who let you sit here? Don't you know this is young Master Jun's exclusive seat? The voice came from behind Lin Yi. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't notice the person behind him, but there were quite a lot of people coming to pick up the plane. As long as they didn't come to attack Lin Yi wouldn't care what they were doing. Lin Yi frowned. Was there a special seat for this type of seat? But when he looked down, there didn't seem to be anything special about his spot other than the better lighting and the fact that it was a comfortable sofa. What are you looking at? Aren't you going to give up your seat to young Master Jun? The voice saw Lin Yi lowering his head, but he was a little impatient. If this seat was really dedicated, Lin Yi would give it to him. After all, although Lin Yi was strong, he wasn't willing to bully these ordinary people because of some small things. Lin Yi's eyes were now filled with cultivators. However, this seat wasn't dedicated at all. It wasn't marked at all. Lin Yi was a little unhappy. He stood up, turned his head, and looked at the person who scolded him. This was a man in black. However, what surprised Lin Yi was that although Lin Yi couldn't see through this person's strength, he should be a master without a doubt. This seat, where is it written that it's yours? Lin Yi asked faintly. Although the person was a master, it was only relative to ordinary people. Lin Yi didn't put him in his eyes. The man in black didn't answer Lin Yi's question. It seemed that he didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. He reached out his hand and pushed towards Lin Yi, wanting to push Lin Yi to the side. He didn't even want to explain. However, what surprised him was that Lin Yi didn't move an inch under his push. The master jumped in fright. He knew how strong he was. He pushed Lin Yi, but it didn't budge at all. He immediately increased the strength of his hand, using all of his mystic late phase peak physical strength. However, he thought that this time, he would definitely push Lin Yi away. What surprised him was that Lin Yi didn't move an inch. He was still standing in the same spot. Slap. Lin Yi slapped the mystic class master, sending him flying out of the room. Boom. With a loud sound, the master fell to the ground. The corner of his mouth was full of blood, and his teeth fell out. However, he didn't know the pain because he had already fainted. After the master was slapped away by Lin Yi, there was a sudden noise at the door of the resting room. A pale-faced young man, under the escort of a few men in black, walked into the resting room. But when they saw the Mystic Division Master lying motionless on the ground with blood all over his mouth, they were completely stunned. A black-robed man ran over quickly. "Junior brother, what happened to you? Who hurt you?" Lin Yi frowned. Since when did Donghai City have so many masters? Chapter 3067. The one just now was a physical master, and the one in front of him was most likely one too. When a physical master didn't show his strength, Lin Yi's golden finger was useless. However, what shocked Lin Yi the most was that the pale young man protected by the men in black was Lin Yi's old acquaintance, Zhen Ingjun. He was young Master Jun? When Lin Yi and Ma Zhu died together, his meridians were broken, so Lin didn't chase after Zhen Dazhou and Zhen Ingjun, who ran back to Donghai City. At that time, Lin Yi wasn't a match for the Jinzhong clan. Later on, the Jinzhong clan was about to be annihilated by Lin Yi, and Lin Yi naturally wouldn't care about House Zhen of Donghai. However, after a while, Zhen Ingjun seemed to have become even more powerful. There were so many masters around him all of a sudden. Although they weren't the most powerful masters, they were only in Lin Yi's eyes. The peak of the late phase of Mystic Division was already a very powerful existence in the mortal world. Of course, this wasn't what surprised Lin Yi the most. What surprised Lin Yi the most was that the man in black that he slapped didn't die. He only lost a tooth, but his life wasn't in danger. Although Lin Yi didn't use any martial arts, Lin Yi didn't hold back after knowing that the man was a cultivator and slapped him with the strength of the early phase of heaven class. Yet, he didn't die from Lin Yi's slap. He was only a master at the peak of the late phase of Mystic Division, 2 ranks lower than Lin Yi, yet he didn't die? Wasn't this person too strange? Could it be that he was from the Jinzhong clan? But the Jinzhong clan was about to be annihilated. Where would they send so many masters? "Did you hurt my junior brother?" The man in black checked the mystic class master who was injured by Lin Yi on the ground. After confirming that his life wasn't in danger, he stood up and looked at Lin Yi with determination. But he didn't let his guard down. A person who could injure his junior brother was definitely not a simple character. Who are you? Why did you hurt him? Jun, I didn't think we'd meet again. Lin Yi ignored the man in black. Although their defensive abilities were very strong, Lin Yi didn't put them in his eyes. With the strength of their bodies, they simply couldn't withstand Lin Yi's martial skills. Moreover, he didn't even need the powerful Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm. Just the 10th form of the Frenzy Fire fist was enough to take their lives. Of course, in the eyes of other cultivators, this was also a very powerful existence. The 10th form of Frenzy Fist was a skill that only an Earth-class late-phase peak could use. Using an Earth-class late-phase peak martial skill to kill a Mystic late-phase peak master? What a joke! This was also the reason why these men in black were so arrogant. Winnie? Zhen Yingjuan's breathing quickened, and his pale face turned even paler. He was terrified of what happened just now. He thought that he had the support of a powerful force after returning to East Ocean City and returning to his own territory. He could look down on everything, but when he stood in front of Lin Yi, his legs couldn't help but cramp. Kill him, this kid is a bad guy. He can't be left alive. Zhen Yingjuan's words caused the man in black and the other two men in black to surround Lin Yi at the same time. Kid, I don't care which sect you are from. You will all die today. Master Jun has spoken, you won't be able to live. The first man in black said coldly to Lin. Lin ignored him before. This made him very angry, so after Zhen Yingjun gave the order, he prepared to kill Lin. Clear the area, clear the area. The Flintlock squad is working here. Those who have no business here can leave. Other than the four men in black, there were a few bodyguards behind Zhen Yingjun with bulging waists. It was obvious that they had guns. When they called out the firearm team's name, everyone's expressions changed. They all stood up and looked at Lin Yi pitifully before quickly leaving. Which sect are you from? Golden Bell sect? Lin Yi didn't answer the man in black's question, but asked back. Golden Bell clan? The man in black heard Lin Yi's words and humphed coldly. Golden Bell clan isn't even worthy of helping us. Judging from your level, you're just a hidden sect. Our sect will scare you to death. Scare me to death? Lin Yi froze. Were these people from the ancient sect? That Jun family was really impressive, to actually establish a connection with the ancient era. Let me tell you, we're from Iron Cloak clan. Are you scared now? The man in black reported his clan and looked at Lin Yi mockingly, waiting for Lin Yi to piss his pants. Iron Cloak clan? Lin Yi asked back, I've never heard of it. You? Black-clothed man number 2 was furious. Lin Yi's words were insulting their existence, making him furious. Kid, you're asking for it? You don't have to be angry. Lin Yi is only at the level of a common noble house. He doesn't even know how many hidden noble houses there are. How would he know how powerful the ancient sect is? Zhen Yingjun calmed down and waved his hand. Don't talk nonsense with them, just kill him. From his point of view, it was useless no matter how powerful Lin Yi was. Now that he had the support of the ancient sect and the famous Iron Cloak clan, he wasn't afraid of Lin Yi anymore. Zhen Yingjun, you still owe me money, right? Where's the 250 million you owe me last time? I'm in need of money recently, return it to me and I'll forget about what happened today. It's not easy for your men to cultivate until now, I won't kill them. Lin Yi turned to Zhen Yingjun and said. You're a coward. Zhen Yingjun sneered. Lin Yi, you don't need to hide the fear in your heart. I know you're scared, that's why you're acting cool. Don't think that I don't know, I know this very well. You must die today. All of you go. Don't talk nonsense with him. Just kill him. Yes, Master Jun. The men in black from Iron Cloak clan nodded and Black Cloak one punched at Lin Yi. Lin Yi frowned slightly. To be honest, he didn't want to become enemies with Iron Cloak clan. After all, Lin Yi already had enmity with Dark Palace, Everyday and Everyday sect, Blood Cloak Underworld sect, and the ancient Dongfang clan. There were only a few ancient sects and Lin Yi offended 4 of them at once. There was also the Heavenly Elixir sect whose attitude was unclear. Lin Yi really didn't want to become enemies with Iron Cloak clan. Chapter 3068. What was the relationship between them? One had to know that Zhen Yingjun was also very respectful in front of Ma Zhu, but these people from Iron Cloak faction became his hired thugs. How strange. Iron Cloak faction, don't do anything. I don't want to kill you. My only enemy is Zhen Yingjun, Lin Yi said to Black Cloak number 1 and the others. However, the more Lin Yi acted like this, the more Iron Cloak faction thought that Lin Yi was scared and was trying to scare them. Therefore, Black Cloak number 1 didn't stop and punched towards Lin Yi. Lin Yi sighed slightly. He had no choice but to attack. However, Lin Yi still held back. Although he revealed the strength of an early phase of Heaven class, he still used the 8th form of Frenzy Fist. He could only heavily injure Black Cloak number 1, but he couldn't kill him. He hoped that he would be merciful and stop Iron Cloak faction from causing trouble. Otherwise, Lin Yi would have to kill them next time. Although Lin Yi wasn't afraid of trouble, it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. Boom, 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 boom. Lin Yi didn't make a move, but when he did, it was clean and neat. In just an instant, the 4 black-clothed men, including Black Cloth number 1, were directly sent flying by Lin Yi. Black Shirt 1 was obviously the strongest among them, having reached the peak of the early phase of Earth class. Although the others had fainted, he didn't faint even though he was injured. He only looked at Lin Yi in shock and spat out 4 words, Sky class. Black Cloak number 1 knew that he kicked an iron plate. Lin Yi was so young and was already in early phase of Heaven class. He couldn't be a nobody, nor could he be cultivated by a small family. There must be a bigger force behind him. He said that he hadn't heard of Iron Cloak faction, maybe he looked down on them. What? Zhen Yingjun wasn't as clueless as before. He knew what it meant to be a Heaven class master. How could Lin Yi be a Heaven stage expert? This was completely unrealistic. Back then, he had to go all out against Ma Zhu, and in the end, both of them were heavily injured. But now, when he made his move, he didn't even see it clearly, and all his bodyguards were already lying on the ground. Even the weakest of them, Black Shirt number 1, who was at the peak of early phase of Earth rank, wasn't a match for him. Zhen Yingjun, I told you that I don't want to fight and I've warned you. If you want your men to die, then there's nothing I can do. Lin Yi tried his best to push the blame onto Zhen Yingjun and let Tai Yi sect get even with him. He walked toward Zhen Yingjun step by step. However, Lin Yi was wrong about Iron Cloak sect. They wouldn't do anything to Zhen Yingjun, at least not now. Don't come any closer. I'm telling you, although you've defeated them, I'm backed by the entire Iron Cloth sect. If you dare to touch me, I'll make you suffer. Zhen Yingjun was the one who put up a strong front. He kept backing away. A Heaven stage expert, this was too shocking. Slap. Lin Yi slapped Zhen Yingjun's face. His handsome face was once again slapped until his eyes and mouth were crooked. Iron Cloak sect? You also thought that Jinzhong Gate was powerful before, but what about now? Lin Yi stood in front of Zhen Yingjun indifferently. You can't kill me. Zhen Yingjun was really scared and kept backing away. Lin Yi, House Zhen is powerful now, really powerful. Oh, even if you change your name to Zhen Youbai, it has nothing to do with me. Slap. Another slap sounded. Lin Yi slapped the other side of Zhen Yingjun's face. Let me go. I'll do whatever you want. Zhen Yingjun softened. He had no choice but to lower his head in front of Lin Yi. I can let you go, I just want to collect the debt from you. 250 million, when will you give it to me? Lin Yi. I've already returned 250 million to you, can you give me less this time? How about 150 million? Zhen Yingjun hesitated and said, What do you think? Slap. Another slap. Lin Yi was getting impatient. Stop wasting time. If you have money, use it to buy your life. If you don't, then die. 150 million is fine. I'll cut off your arms and it'll be 100 million. How about that? I'll transfer the money to you after I go back. Zhen Yingjun rolled his eyes and thought that he should leave first. As long as he went back, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to find him and he could do whatever he wanted. Go back? Lin Yi naturally knew what Zhen Yingjun was thinking. He sneered, Now, immediately transfer the money. Otherwise, I don't mind turning you into them. Of course, They are cultivators, and physical defense cultivators at that. They didn't die under my hands, but that's not necessarily the case for you. You might just die in an instant. But it's not bad, you don't have to pay me back anymore. But. Zhen Yingjun took a deep breath and reminded himself that he had to lower his head when he was under someone else's roof. Just you wait and see. Then, Zhen Yingjun took out his phone and said to Lin Yi, "Give me your account number." Lin Yi gave him an account number and Zhen Yingjun made a few calls to transfer the money to Lin. He didn't dare to play any tricks as he knew how ruthless Lin Yi was. He had to get through this first and he would have plenty of chances to deal with Lin Yi in the future. Moreover, Zhen Yingjun's Housejin had the support of Ironcloth sect and they were quite rich. Although 250 million wasn't a small amount, Zhen Yingjun could still afford it. Not long after, Lin Yi received a notification on his phone. Lin Yi looked at the amount and nodded in satisfaction. "Okay, you can leave now." But Zhen Yingjun gritted his teeth and looked at the bodyguards in white with guns on their waists. He ordered, "What are you waiting for? Carry them on your back and come with me." But although the bodyguards in white had guns and looked powerful in front of outsiders, they were far from a cultivator. Although they didn't fall, they didn't dare to pull out their guns in front of Lin Yi and Zhen Yingjun didn't think about using them to turn the tables. Chapter 3069. After all, Lin didn't kill the people from Tai Yi sect and Zhen Yingjun, so Zhen Dazhou and Tai Yi sect wouldn't be so desperate. After they went back, they would investigate his background again and decide if they should kill him or not. Of course, if Tai Yi sect didn't want to cause trouble, they wouldn't mind losing 250 million since no one died. He still wasn't strong enough. Lin Yi sighed. If he had absolute strength, these people wouldn't be able to walk out of here today. However, Lin Yi could only let them go for now in order to avoid too much trouble. However, it wasn't for nothing. At least, Lin Yi brought back 250 million. Fatty Lie's medical company had 250 million, in addition to the 350 million Feng Shishan gave him, so it shouldn't be a problem to keep it running. However, the money that House Lu mortgaged and Yu Xiaoka's orphanage wasn't enough. Lin Yi could only hope that the genius girl from House Lu could give him a surprise and restore House Lu's agency to its former glory. Zhen Yingjun came and left quickly without a trace. The guests who were chased away returned to the resting room after seeing Zhen Yingjun leave. However, their eyes were filled with respect when they looked at Lin. It was rare to see someone who could defeat Zhen Yingjun's bodyguard and beat Zhen Yingjun up. This little episode made Lin Yi earn 250 million. It seemed like there were benefits to coming to pick him up. A good person would be rewarded. Zhen Yingjun left and Su Shihan's plane was about to land. The plane was on time and when Lin Yi saw the flight number on the LCD screen, he put down the newspaper in his hand. Soon, the sound of footsteps came from the entrance of the lounge. Someone was getting off the plane, and there were also a few people in the lounge who stood up. They were probably here to pick up the passengers who were getting off the plane. Lin Yi looked at his phone. No one had called him yet, but he thought that when the person he was going to pick up got off the plane, they would call him. However, Lin Yi didn't see the main character, but saw a group of familiar faces coming out of the passageway. It was the superstar Su Shihan, her bodyguard Feng Sanhuang, and her manager Wang Sis. These three people made Lin Yi slightly surprised. Did Su Shihan come to East Ocean City to perform? But since he saw her, Lin Yi naturally had to greet her. No matter what, Su Shihan was the company's spokesperson, and she had a good relationship with Miss and the others. Young Han, Eritrean, why are you here? Lin Yi was not familiar with Big Sis Wang, so he only nodded at her. Su Shihan didn't expect to bump into Lin Yi at the airport. She was wearing sunglasses, and this was the VIP exit. People who came out of this place were either rich or powerful. No one would be so nosy as to guess who she was. Plus, Lin Yi called her Young Han. Who would have thought that Su Shihan was Young Han? Su Shihan paused and looked at Feng Sanhuang awkwardly. She didn't know if she should tell Lin Yi about this. Was it a secret? Su Shihan trusted Lin Yi in her heart. It was just that Feng Sanhuang didn't say anything, so she couldn't do anything. Feng Sanhuang was also surprised why Lin Yi was here. Last time Su Shihan was in trouble, It was Lin Yi who saved her. Feng Sanhuang trusted Lin Yi a lot. It was just that there were outsiders in the lounge, so Feng Sanhuang couldn't say anything. Mr. Lin, long time no see. We did come here for some business, but can we talk in private? Talk outside? Sure, but I'm here to pick someone up. I need to call the person and tell him to wait for me outside. Lin Yi said and took out his phone. Perfect, someone is here to pick us up. I'll make a call too. Feng Sanhuang nodded and picked up his phone. However, Lin Yi realized that the number he dialed was busy. It was the same for Feng Sanhuang. The user was busy. Helplessly, Lin Yi put down the phone. He guessed that the other party was contacting him as well, so he waited for them to call back. Sanhuang, on the other hand, had the same thought. He hung up the phone and waited for Lin Yi's reply. The call didn't go through. Let's talk on the way, Lin Yi said to Feng Sanhuang. Sure. Feng Sanhuang nodded. He put down his phone and walked towards the door with Lin Yi. After leaving the VIP lounge, they came to the parking lot near the airport. Feng Sanhuang, Su Shihan, and Wang Sis got on Lin Yi's car first. After they got in, Feng Sanhuang said, Mr. Lin, our trip this time is actually a secret. Even the people in the company don't know about it. Miss Su might be in trouble again. Trouble again? The same group as last time? Lin Yi was dazed. More or less, but even more powerful. Feng Sanhuang didn't say much. After all, Feng Tianhu was the one who found them. Although last time it was the Feng family and this time it was the Dongfang family, there was only one person. If that's the case, then it's a bit dangerous. What's your plan this time? Lin Yi asked. This time, I won't hide it from Mr. Lin. I have a friend here. I'm here to ask for his help to protect Miss Su's safety. Feng Sanhuang said. This was the excuse he gave to Su Shihan. Alright, I have something else to do during this period of time. If there's nothing else, I'll help you guys out. Lin Yi nodded. Mr. Lin, thank you for your kindness. But the enemy this time is a Sky-class early phase master. I'm afraid you don't have the confidence to deal with him. I don't either. Feng Sanhuang naturally didn't know that Lin Yi was already a Sky-class master. His impression was still the last time he met Lin. Lin Yi's strength was still at the last time he met him. Sky-class early phase? Lin Yi heard Feng Sanhuang mention the enemy's strength. He only smiled faintly. Sky-class early phase. Lin didn't care anymore. Right, Mr. Lin? We'll talk later. I need to call my friend first. Feng Sanhuang suddenly remembered that Lin Yi didn't reply to him. He quickly took out his phone and was ready to call back. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. Lin Yi also wanted to call his employer to ask if they had arrived. But because it was quiet in the car, it wasn't good for two people to call at the same time. So, Lin Yi decided to wait for Feng Sanhuang to finish his call. Chapter 3070. Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. He picked up the phone and saw that it was his employer, so Lin Yi couldn't reject the call. Even if Feng Sanhuang was on the phone, Lin Yi still picked up the phone. Hello, I've arrived at the airport. Have you guys gotten off the plane? After Lin Yi said this, he waited for the other party to respond, but the other party didn't say anything. Feng Sanhuang, on the other hand, had a shocked expression on his face. Because the call was connected, he heard Lin Yi's voice from the other side. However, he was also a little uncertain, so he hesitated for a moment and still said into the microphone, Hello, is this Mr. Lin Yi? This time, not only did Feng Sanhuang hear Lin Yi's voice, but Lin Yi also heard Feng Sanhuang's voice from the other side of the phone. Of course, even if Lin Yi didn't hear it, Feng Sanhuang's Mr. Lin Yi already represented a lot of problems. Lin Yi could immediately understand that the person he was waiting for was Feng Sanhuang, and the superstar he wanted to protect was Su Shihan. Both of them were stunned. Lin Yi put down the phone, and Feng Sanhuang also put down the phone. Lin Yi was a bit embarrassed, and Feng Sanhuang was also a bit embarrassed, but he was more worried about Su Shihan's thoughts. He told Su Shihan that he was asking for help from his friend, but in the end, Lin Yi was right in front of him, and he didn't even know that the person he was asking for help was Lin. No matter how stupid Su Shihan was, she should be able to figure out the problem, right? Mr. Feng? It's you? Lin Yi smiled bitterly and reached out his hand. Yes, it's me. Feng Sanhuang also smiled bitterly and said, Mr. Lin Yi, why did you change your name to Ling? I'm just accepting a quest. I didn't think too much about it. It's an acquaintance among acquaintances. Lin Yi smiled wryly and said, Back then, the poem told me. He asked me to protect his sister, but I thought his sister does not know me. I had told Mr. Feng that my name is Ling Yi, and Sure also knows my name. That's why I did not change my name. But I did not expect the person I am protecting is Miss Su. Brother Feng, are you hiding something from me? Shirhan looked at Feng Sanhuang. Of course, she didn't think that Feng Sanhuang would harm her. After all, the person Feng Sanhuang found was Lin. Su Shirhan knew what kind of person Lin Yi was. There was no way he would help Sanhuang harm people. Lin Yi also said that he was here to protect him, but Lin Yi wasn't Feng Sanhuang's friend at all. And Lin even said that she was someone's sister. What was going on? Wasn't he an orphan? How could he have a brother? So, Su Shirhan subconsciously thought that Feng Sanhuang was hiding something from her. And it was not a small matter. Needless to say, Shirhan's guess was quite accurate. Because Feng Sanhuang was indeed hiding something, but without Feng Tianlin's permission, he didn't dare to tell Shirhan. If Shirhan knew the truth, if she knew that she had a father who didn't dare to acknowledge her, wouldn't she be unhappy? But Feng Sanhuang knew. It wasn't that Feng Tianlin didn't want to acknowledge her, but he couldn't. If he didn't acknowledge her now, there was already so much danger. If he really did acknowledge her, he didn't know how Feng Tianhu would make a fuss about it. So, Feng Sanhuang hesitated and looked at Lin. Although the trouble was caused by him, it was Lin Yi who said it. It seemed that Lin Yi was not only close to Shirhan, but also the young master Feng Shipian. So, it was better for Lin Yi to say it. At least, Feng Tianlin couldn't blame Feng Sanhuang. Seeing Feng Sanhuang's pleading eyes, Lin Yi paused. What do you mean? Could it be that Shirhan didn't know about this? But wasn't this arranged by Feng Shipian? He wouldn't tell his sister. So, sister? Shirhan's surname was Su, Feng Shipian's surname was Feng. Although Feng Tianlin said that his surname was Su, it was just a made-up surname. Maybe he meant to represent Shirhan. But there might really be a problem here. It was just that Lin Yi didn't know how much Shirhan knew, so he could only test her. Han, I was asked by your father and brother to protect you, but after saying this, Lin Yi regretted it a little. Because Lin Yi suddenly remembered that Shirhan told him about her childhood. Shirhan should be Feng Tianlin's illegitimate daughter, and after Shirhan and her mother were attacked, they didn't see Feng Tianlin again. Naturally, Shirhan wouldn't know about Feng Tianlin and Feng Shipian. But at the beginning, Lin Yi didn't think about this. He thought that Feng Tianlin had been in contact with Shirhan. Now that he thought about it, Shirhan didn't mention that she saw her father after she was separated from her mother. Met my father? I have a brother? Shirhan widened her eyes in shock. She looked at Lin. Her body was shaking. She was obviously very emotional. Her breathing became rapid. But in the next moment, cold sweat appeared on Shirhan's forehead. Her breathing became more rapid. She couldn't help but moan. It hurts. My head hurts. Wang Sis, give me the medicine. Wang Sis was also shocked. What Lin Yi and Feng Sanhuang said in the car today shocked her. Lin Yi knew Shirhan's father? And from the looks of it, Feng Sanhuang also knew about it. Wang Sis, who was usually a chatterbox, didn't dare to interrupt today. She didn't know what to say. But Su Shirhan had a headache. She subconsciously grabbed her backpack and started rummaging through it. Every time Shirhan went out, she would let Wang Sis bring the painkillers from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. No need. Lin Yi shook his head at Wang Sis. He reached out and pressed on Shirhan's forehead and chest. Shirhan's emotions gradually returned to normal. But she was still panting. She blushed and said gratefully to Lin, "Thank you." Although Lin Yi cured her headache, he also touched her body. But Shirhan knew that Lin Yi did it for her own good. He didn't want to take advantage of her. No need to thank me. It was me who gave you a headache. I should be the one apologizing. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I didn't think that you didn't know about your father and brother. I thought you already knew. Chapter 3071. Then do you hate him? Lin Yi stayed silent for a while and asked. Suddenly hearing that my dad knew about me but didn't want to see me, I did feel a bit uncomfortable, but thinking about it, maybe he has his own difficulties. Su Shirhan smiled at Lin Yi and said, I'm an illegitimate daughter, he has his own life, and at least, Lin Yi, you were hired by dad and brother to protect me, at least they care about me. I've never met my brother before, and he treats me like this, what else do I have to hate? On the contrary, I'm very happy today, you let me know some things I've always wanted to know. My dad is fine, that's great. Okay, then do you want to see him? At this point, Lin Yi knew that he couldn't hide it anymore, so he asked. But from Lin Yi's point of view, Su Shirhan was still calm. She was already an adult, she could face everything rationally. He doesn't want to see me, of course he has his difficulties, it doesn't matter if I don't see him or not. Although I really want to see him, I know he's fine, so I'm at ease. Su Shirhan smiled bitterly and said, to be honest, I don't have much of an impression of him anymore. Lin Yi nodded and looked at Feng Sanhuang. Feng Sanhuang, you don't have anything else to say? I've said a lot of what needs to be said. You can fill in the rest. Okay. Feng Sanhuang was helpless. Lin Yi had said so much already, it didn't matter if he said it or not. Even if Feng Tianlin blamed him, Lin Yi would be there, so he told the truth. Miss Su, I'm a bodyguard sent by your father to protect you. In fact, Master has always cared about you. These years, your path has been smooth sailing, it's also because of Master's help. There are people with bad intentions, I'll help you solve it. I will help you deal with it. If there is pressure from the company, Master will use his connections to settle it. You should be able to feel it too. So that's how it is. Su Shirhan nodded. All these years, Su Shirhan herself felt that her path to stardom was too smooth. She didn't encounter any unspoken rules and rejected some of the company's activities. The company didn't freeze her, instead, they welcomed her with a smile, so Su Shirhan's fame grew. Of course, it couldn't be denied that Su Shirhan's hard work and talent played a part in it, but without someone helping her in the dark, it wouldn't have been so smooth. After all, Su Shirhan wasn't the only one with hard work and talent, but only Su Shirhan succeeded. This meant that there were some problems. Nowadays, most of the celebrities in the company relied on their bodies or their family's influence to get to where they were. Su Shirhan was very clear about this. Although there were some who achieved success through their own hard work, there weren't many. Su Shirhan was the most successful among them. This could be considered a miracle, but now it seemed that it wasn't. It was inevitable. Then, what's my father's name? Shirhan asked. Feng Sanhuang looked at Lin. He didn't know if he should tell Su Shirhan Feng Tianlin's name or not. His name is Feng Tianlin, his background is the ancient Feng family, an ancient aristocratic family. You should have heard of this name before. Lin Yi said to Su Shirhan, it's a higher level of hidden aristocratic family. Ancient? Shirhan nodded, but she didn't seem to know much about it. So, my surname isn't Su. My surname is Feng. Oh right, do you know your mother's name? Perhaps I can help you look for her? Linist. Feng Tianlin had been looking for her, but he might not be able to find her. After all, Feng Tianlin didn't dare to look for her openly. Among the Feng family's people, one of them might be Feng Tianhu's trusted aide. If Feng Tianhu found out, then things would be even worse. But Lin Yi was different. Lin Yi could ask Gu Xian to help him look. Gu Xian was someone who knew about the ancient world. Maybe he could find her. I don't know. Shirhan shook her head and sighed. At that time, I was too young. I don't remember my mother's name. Then forget it, I'll ask Uncle Feng myself when I have the chance. Lin Yi nodded. Today's matter is settled. Han, since everyone is so familiar with each other, let's go back to my villa. Yao Yao and Shu miss you too. Shirhan breathed out in relief. It was Lin Yi's villa. There was no problem. Shirhan, Meng Yao, and Yu Shu got along well. Everyone was familiar with each other. It wouldn't be inconvenient for them to live together. On the way, Shirhan was still worried about these things. But in a blink of an eye, it was all gone. Feng Sanhuang, on the other hand, was worried. He wanted to find a chance to call Feng Tianlin and tell him what happened. What happened was out of Feng Sanhuang's control. These things were supposed to be kept secret. Now that Shirhan knew about it, it was all because of his mistake. Although, this mistake could be said to be a combination of many factors. He didn't know that Ling Yi was Lin Yi, and he just happened to know Lin Yi. In the end, he recognized Lin Yi at the airport and called Ling Yi, which made Shirhan suspicious. At the end of the day, he was also responsible for this. If he had made an agreement with Ling beforehand and told each other their names and clothes, this kind of mistake wouldn't have happened. However, it had already happened and no one could change it. The car drove towards the direction of the villa. Meng Yao and Yushu were sitting on the sofa, whispering to each other. "Yao Yao sis, you must like Shield bro, don't deny it." Yushu said. "How is that possible?" "I don't like Shield bro," Meng Yao said. "Look, you're talking nonsense. You also call him Shield bro." Yushu didn't believe it. "I didn't. Isn't it because of you?" When Meng Yao said this, she asked herself in her heart. Did she like Lin Yi? They probably liked each other. But, was there any possibility between the two of them? Denial after denial, misunderstandings after misunderstandings. Meng Yao and Lin Yi's relationship was only maintained at the level of friends, not taking it to the next step. Seeing other girls around her becoming Lin Yi's girlfriends one after another, it was impossible for Meng Yao to not have any thoughts. Chapter 3072. If Lin Yi didn't take the initiative to say it, she wouldn't either. Even if Lin Yi accepted her, it'd still be a charity, wouldn't it? With Lin Yi and Meng Yao's relationship, Meng Yao believed that as long as she said it, Lin Yi would accept her out of consideration for her face. But this wasn't what the miss wanted. She wanted a love that didn't need to be spectacular, but she didn't need charity. Why could Tang Yun, Xiao Xiao, Wang Xinyan, and Sun Jingyi? Was it because Tang Yun was pretty, Xiao Xiao was proactive, and Wang Xinyan and Sun Jingyi were helpful to Lin Yi? But she wasn't any worse than Tang Yun. Damn Lin Yi, would it kill you to chase me? The miss was touched by Yushu's words today, but she suddenly realized that she cared about Lin Yi and hoped that Lin Yi would chase her. As for what she said before about not liking him, it was just a lie. It might have been true in the beginning, but as time went by, Meng Yao couldn't tell if she really didn't like him, or if it was just an excuse to numb herself. Could it be because she was too familiar with Lin Yi? There were many times when a man and a woman who were too familiar with each other couldn't become lovers. But she and Lin Yi weren't that familiar either, right? At least, she didn't know what he was thinking, and Lin Yi didn't know what she was thinking either. At that thought, Meng Yao glared at Yushu. "Big tits, can't you be a little more hardworking? I said I don't like you, and you're not going to help me? Where's your usual smarts? Dropping the ball at a critical moment. Stupid unlucky Shu. Oh, Yao Yao, why were you glaring at me? I'll stop talking, alright?" Yushu shrunk her neck and shut her mouth after seeing Meng Yao's scary look. Meng Yao wanted nothing more than to kick Yushu into outer space. "Since when did I forbid you from talking?" "Say it a little harder, you stupid Shu, you're pissing me off." Yushu looked at Meng Yao's furious face and found it a little strange. "Yao Yao, I already said it, why are you still scowling at me?" "Then Shu, I won't make this kind of joke anymore, okay?" "No." Meng Yao finally gathered her courage and roared. The roar scared Yushu so much that she jumped up from the sofa with a whoosh, her hair almost standing on end. But just when Yushu was wondering what that "no" meant and why Yao Yao was so angry, the sound of a car came from the villa. Meng Yao roared. He used up all the courage in his body, but he didn't want to explain anything to Yushu anymore. He stood up. "Lin Yi's back. Let's go out and take a look. I wonder which celebrity it is? Is it what we like? We just like Sister Shirhan. We don't like anyone else," Yushu said. "Then let's go take a look. He's Lin Yi's guest after all," Meng Yao said as she walked towards the door. Yushu saw Meng Yao leave. She followed behind her and walked out of the villa with her. At this time, Lin Yi's car also drove into the villa. Lin Yi got out of the car first, and at this time, the other doors of the car also opened. Su Shirhan also got out of the car from the front passenger seat. "Ah!" Meng Yao saw Su Shirhan and suddenly froze. "Lin Yi, didn't you go to pick someone up? Why did you bring Sister Shirhan back?" "Hee, Yao Yao, the person I want to protect is Su Shirhan. She is Feng Shirshan's sister." I just found out about the specific situation. Let's go in and talk. Lin Yi also smiled bitterly and spread his hands. To be honest, he was shocked at the beginning. But Meng Yao nodded and let out a sigh of relief. She was happy that she would be able to live with the star she liked in the future, but she was also a little disappointed. With Su Shihan's addition, Lin Yi's attention would be on other girls again. When would he notice her again? When this thought came up, it scared the miss. I actually care about Lin Yi so much? Meng Yao looked at Yu Shu from the corner of her eyes. She was a little annoyed. Big breasts and no brains. It was right. She dropped the ball at the critical moment. Yu Shu felt wronged under Meng Yao's angry gaze. She used to try her best to matchmake Meng Yao and Lin Yi, but she was scolded every time. Now that she didn't dare to matchmake them, she was dissatisfied. How could she be so unlucky? The group entered Lin Yi's villa. Although Wang Sis was a strict person, she had a good impression of Lin, especially since Lin Yi's medicine company solved Su Shihan's problem. Lin Yi was Su Shihan's savior. She was still very polite to Lin Yi. Mr. Lin, it's not a problem for Miss Su to stay here, but it's not convenient for me to stay here. Wang Sis also visited Lin Yi's villa. She realized that Lin Yi's villa wasn't too big. There weren't that many rooms. There were 2 rooms upstairs. One for Su Shihan, and the other for Meng Yao and Yu Shu. There were 3 rooms downstairs. One for Lin Yi, one for San Huang, and one for Wu Chintian. There were no empty rooms. Therefore, Sister Wang was also very reasonable and said, "Why don't I move out to live? There's a hotel nearby. It's not bad. It's fine." Chintian walked out of his room at this time. He usually practiced in his room, and although he couldn't practice on his own after Lin Yi leveled up his practitioner's arts, he was still a dual practitioner. After leveling up his spiritual arts, he needed to improve his physical arts as well, and so he practiced whenever he had nothing to do, and only came out when he had something to do. "Mr. Feng, can we stay in the same room? We're both men, it's fine." "Sure." San Huang didn't have any objections. "You're a practitioner too, right? At night, I will mainly meditate and cultivate. The 2 of us can also learn from each other and discuss cultivation matters." "Then it's settled." Lin Yi nodded. "Han Yao Yao and Shu can stay upstairs. Wang Sis and Feng Bro can stay downstairs." After arranging the rooms, Lin Yi told Meng Yao and Yu Shu about Su Shihan's situation. Meng Yao and Shu sympathized with Su Shihan's childhood. They didn't know that behind a superstar, there were so many unknown tragedies. San Huang, on the other hand, found a place with no one and called Tianlin. Chapter 3073. "Yes, but, Master, there's a small problem here." Feng San Huang smiled bitterly. "Miss Su knows about your situation and identity." "Knows? What's going on?" Feng Tianlin was taken aback. He immediately became nervous and asked in a deep voice, "What's going on? How did Xiaohan know?" "It's like this." Feng San Huang didn't dare to hide it and told Feng Tianlin everything. He didn't dare to push the blame to Lin Yi. He wasn't that kind of person. "Oh." Feng Tianlin heard San Huang's words and was slightly taken aback. He didn't expect things to turn out this way. However, he couldn't blame San Huang for this. If he had to blame someone, he could only blame himself for not telling San Huang that Lin Yi was Lin Yi. However, Feng Tianlin didn't think that much. But when he heard Su Shihan's reaction, he let out a sigh of relief. He was comforted. Feng Tianlin had been hiding the truth from Su Shihan all these years because he didn't dare to tell her. He was afraid that if he told her the truth, she would hate him and ignore him. After all, when Su Shihan's mother was hurt, Feng Tianlin had a big responsibility. He didn't protect Su Shihan and her mother well, causing Su Shihan to be separated from her mother. So, Feng Tianlin could only do things for Su Shihan behind the scenes, but he didn't dare to acknowledge her. This wasn't what Feng San Huang had guessed, but if Feng Tianlin and Su Shihan acknowledged each other, it would make Dongfang Xiaozui unhappy and give Feng Tianhu the opportunity to take revenge. Because, whether it was Dongfang Xiaozui or Feng Tianhu, they already knew about Su Shihan's village. Only Feng Tianlin's heart couldn't get over it. Plus, Feng Tianlin was a cowardly person. With his current position, he couldn't guarantee that Grandpa Feng would agree to Su Shihan's return. If he didn't agree, then Feng Tianlin would be even more embarrassed. So, he had been working hard all these years, but his personality determined that he wasn't the material to be the head of a family. He would endure, but he wasn't decisive. It was a far cry from Feng's poem. Feng Shipian knew how to endure patiently and make a decisive decision at a crucial moment. This was also the reason why he recognized Lin Yi as his boss without any hesitation and even mentioned it during the family meeting. In comparison, Feng Shihan was a better candidate for the position of patriarch. As for Feng Nidian, he was all brawn and no brains. Arrogant and despotic. This kind of person would still have room for growth if he didn't meet a strong enemy. However, if he was crippled because he was showing off, then he wouldn't have any chance. In fact, this was all based on luck. Even though the local tyrant had been crippled, he was still able to act tough. But he was lucky. Moreover, he had realized his mistake and turned back. If Nidian was smart enough, he would repent at home. He didn't want to argue with Feng Shipian anymore. Maybe he could plead with Lin Yi and Lin Yi could cure him. However, he didn't repent, so he couldn't blame others. Arid Triad. It's good to talk about this. Feng Tianlin didn't hate Su Shihan. He felt gratified and said, "When this is over, I'll go see Xiaohan myself." "Yes, master." Sanhuang saw that Feng Tianlin wasn't too angry and breathed a sigh of relief, and so, Su Shihan stayed in Lin Yi's villa. Lin Yi, after receiving 2 large sums of money, gave it to Fatty Lai. Fatty Lai's medical company also received some relief. Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily, this idiot Jin Ingjun came to give him money. However, if he wanted Xiaoka's orphanage and House Lu to return to normal, it all depended on Lu Jinghan. The genius girl of House Lu? Lin Yi only saw her once at the meeting of the noble houses. She was wearing a veil at that time, so Lin Yi didn't pay much attention to her. But Han Jingjing praised her so much. It seemed that Lu Jinghan had some capabilities. At least, Han Jingjing, the little genius, wouldn't push a mediocre person. He planned on going to see Lu Jinghan after he was done with the things on hand. In fact, even if the ancient house Dongfang had decided to deal with Su Shihan, they couldn't do it immediately. After all, there were rules and regulations for the ancient world to act against people from the common world. It wasn't allowed at all. Although the ancient house Dongfang was strong, they didn't dare to go against the rules. They had to find a suitable excuse. Only with an excuse would it be convenient to act. Of course, this excuse couldn't have anything to do with Su Shihan. Although Su Shihan was Feng Tianlin's illegitimate daughter, it wasn't made public. House Feng hadn't acknowledged their ancestors yet. If they made a move against Su Shihan, it would be the same as making a move against people from the common world. This was a provocation against the rules of the ancient world. Unless the house Dongfang sent a few death warriors out, they wouldn't admit it even if they were found out. But that was impossible. If Dongfang Burua wanted to go himself, then it wouldn't be as simple as not admitting it and hiding their identity. Therefore, the house Dongfang had been looking for an excuse these few days. The person Dongfang Jinxing sent this time was Dongfang Cha, an early-stage heaven-class master from the house Dongfang. She was an experienced master from the house Dongfang, an expert in kidnapping and extortion. The house Dongfang wasn't as clean as it looked on the surface. An ancient family like this, if they didn't get some dirty money, how could they support a family like this? There were so many masters in the house Dongfang, but they didn't have any source of income. The amount of medicine and pills they spent every year was not a small amount. Reporting to young master, I have just received some very bad news. Elder Dongfang Jian is dead. Just when Dongfang Jinxing was looking for an excuse to enter the common world, a disciple of the house Dongfang ran over and said while panting, "What did you say?" Dongfang Jinxing jumped up from his seat in shock. Looking at the disciple, he asked, "Dongfang Jian is dead? Didn't Dongfang Jian go to the Cultivator Trade Association to look for herbs to improve Buqiu's meridians? How did he die?" "Young master, this is the news from the Cultivator Trade Association. Elder Dongfang Jian is dead," the disciple said carefully. "What happened? How did Dongfang Jian die?" Could it be that he was killed by someone? Dongfang Jingsing's face became extremely gloomy. Tell me in detail. Chapter 3074. I'm not too sure about that. According to Vice President Ouyang of the Cultivator Trade Association, Elder Dongfang Jian got into a conflict with someone when he was searching for medicinal ingredients. The other party was even stronger than Elder Dongfang Jian, so he killed Elder Dongfang Jian. The disciple told the story from beginning to end. Who was it? Who was stronger than Dongfang Jian? After all, Dongfang Jian was a peak mid-heaven rank powerhouse. Who could kill him? Was it a group attack? Dongfang Jingsing asked. I'm not sure about that. Vice Chairman Ouyang said that when the association arrived, Elder Dongfang Jian was already dead, but they didn't see who did it. The disciple said. Didn't see it? Didn't you ask them to investigate? Dongfang Jingsing was in a good mood, but now he was in a bad mood. Dongfang Brua was going to find Su Shirhan, and Dongfang Jingsing was happy about it. He could help Dongfang Xiaozui and make his son happy, so why not? Even when Dongfang Xiaozui called to cancel, Dongfang Jingsing knew that deep in her heart, she still hoped that something would happen to Su Shirhan, but because of Feng Tianlin he couldn't do that. And so Dongfang Jingsing strongly rejected it, and Dongfang Xiaozui and Feng Tianlin couldn't do anything about it. But now, Dongfang Jian was actually dead. This was simply a wake-up call. Although the Dongfang family was powerful, they weren't filled with heaven rankers. Dongfang Jingsing was a peak mid-heaven ranker, while Dongfang Jingsing was only a late heaven ranker. This was the second person from Dongfang Jingsing to die. His other son, Dongfang Buru, was even more talented than Dongfang Jingsing, and Dongfang Jingsing was planning to groom him as the future of Dongfang Jingsing, but who would have thought that he would be killed by Zhang Naipeo in the test? Everyday and everyday sect. Dongfang Jingsing didn't dare to retaliate. They were the typical type of people who bullied the weak and feared the strong. This was different from Fiery Mountain. Dongfang Jingsing saw that they weren't as strong as the everyday and everyday sect, so they didn't bother them at all. Of course, this was also because Dongfang Buru died in the Sky Elixir Sex test. If it wasn't the Sky Elixir Sex test, Dongfang Jingsing would have demanded an explanation. Even if he wasn't a match for him, he should at least give him some compensation, right? Fortunately, Dongfang Jingsing's other son, Dongfang Bui, was not weak. Although he was a bit of a playboy, he was still talented. Now, he was a peak late-phase Earth-class master. As long as his meridians were improved, breaking through to Sky class wouldn't be a problem. Stepping into Sky class peak late phase wouldn't be a dream either. He, Dongfang Jingsing, had two good sons. This was also his pride. Now that Dongfang Jian had died while collecting herbs for Dongfang Brua, Dongfang Jingsing had to avenge him no matter what. Otherwise, who would work for the Dongfang family in the future? Thinking of this, Dongfang Jingsing waved his hand and motioned the disciple to leave first. Then he walked quickly to the room of the current head of the Dongfang family, Dongfang Bideo. The Dongfang family had 3 heaven-rank peak late-phase experts. Both are in retreat to break through the Great Perfection realm. One of them is the old man of Dongfang Bideo, the other is the son of Dongfang Bideo. Dongfang Jingsing's younger brother, Dongfang Yinxing, and Dongfang Buli, who had died in the Heavenly Elixir Sex trial. With the existence of 3 heaven-rank peak late-phase experts, the strength of the Dongfang family can be imagined. It is quite tyrannical, and the old man of Dongfang is also quite overbearing as his name suggests. Once he breaks through to the Great Perfection, I am afraid that he will definitely find the everyday and everyday sect to ask for an explanation, but now, he dare not. Dongfang Jingsing knocked on the door, and the voice of the old man of Dongfang came from inside. Who is it? What's the matter? Father, it's me, Jingsing. Dongfang Jingsing replied. Oh, Jingsing, come in. Dongfang Bideo nodded. Father, something happened to Elder Dongfang Jian. As soon as Dongfang Jingsing entered the door, he said quickly. What? Something happened to Dongfang Jian? What happened? What happened? Dongfang Bideo was shocked and asked quickly. It's like this. Dongfang Jingsing quickly told the old man what the disciple had said before. Cultivator Trading Association? Conflict with others? Dongfang Bideo frowned. Jinxing, have you called the Cultivator Trading Association personally to ask? Not yet. I came to ask Father first to see if you have any instructions. Dongfang Jinxing said. Well, I'll ask the Cultivator Trading Association personally. Dongfang Bedeo also knew that with Dongfang Jinxing's weight, he probably wouldn't be able to ask anything, so he was going to call and ask in person. After all, the Cultivator Trading Association was a very powerful existence. The president there was already a Heaven Stage Master, and several honorary presidents were even masters of the peak late stage of Heaven Stage Great Perfection. How could the Dongfang family dare to act rashly? Inxing, bring me my phone. Dongfang Bedeo said to Dongfang Inxing on the side. Yes, father. Although Dongfang Inxing was stronger than Dongfang Jinxing, he did not have a family, nor did he have children, and he was unwilling to take care of the family's trifles. He liked to cultivate every day, so he did not compete with Dongfang Jinxing. Moreover, because he had no children, he was more partial to Dongfang Bujiang and Dongfang Buqiao like the old man of Dongfang. He wanted to train these two to be the successors of the Dongfang family, but he did not expect one to die. Now he was preparing to train the other. Elder Dongfang Jian was killed while looking for medicinal materials for him. How could Dongfang Bedeo tolerate it? Hello? Is this President Li? Dongfang Bedeo took the phone and dialed the phone of President Li, the president of the Cultivator Trading Association. It's me, the old man of Dongfang Bedeo. What's the matter? President Li also had Dongfang Bedeo's phone number, so he said politely. It's like this, President Li. An elder of our Dongfang family died in your Cultivator Trading Association branch. Is there any news on your side? Dongfang Bedeo asked. This is Vice President Ouyang's responsibility. We reported the situation to your Dongfang clan. I didn't ask too much about the specifics. President Li said, if your Dongfang clan wants to take revenge, I think it'll be a little difficult. Chapter 3075. The Cultivator Trading Association usually doesn't have an invitation letter. As long as you have enough strength, you can participate. I think you know that Master Dongfang, and we didn't know the identity of the murderer in advance. We didn't even know who the murderer was and how many people were. We didn't know the identity of Dongfang Jian either. It was only after several days of investigation that we learned his identity and informed your Dongfang family immediately. President Li said, and now, you have no clues at all. How can you talk about revenge? President Li, I always feel that this matter is a bit strange. It should be impossible to say that Vice President Ouyang knows nothing about it, right? Heaven Stage Masters fight, such a big battle, he doesn't go and see? If he is really afraid of death and hides, this is a bit unreasonable, right? How can such a greedy and cowardly person be the vice president? Dongfang Bedeo wanted to find a breakthrough from this Vice President Ouyang, so in the end, he just wanted President Li to relent and let the Dongfang family go directly to Vice President Ouyang for questioning. Master Dongfang, to be honest, I also have some doubts in my heart about this matter. Either Vice President Ouyang knows and does not report, or he is incompetent as a vice president, but I can't do anything about it. President Li smiled bitterly and said, I'm not afraid to tell you, Master Dongfang, although Vice President Ouyang is my subordinate, Vice President Ouyang has an uncle who is the supreme honorary president of our Cultivator Trading Association, and he is the second supreme president. Even I don't dare to do anything to him. It turns out to be like this? Dongfang Bedeo nodded. Fortunately, he didn't act rashly. Otherwise, if he went directly to deal with this Vice President Ouyang, it would be like poking the hornet's nest. The second supreme honorary president, that must be a great perfection master with the strength of the peak late stage of Heaven Stage. So, we can't do anything about it. If Master Dongfang wants to find the murderer, you can secretly investigate it yourself. President Li said. Okay, thank you, President Li. Dongfang Bedeo nodded. It seemed that this matter really had to be investigated by the Dongfang family themselves, but in this way, Dongfang Bedeo found a reason to let the masters of his family enter the secular world. To investigate the cause of Dongfang Jian's death, sending a young master heir and a family elder was not a big battle, and others would not doubt anything. As for some minor conflicts with the people of the secular world during the investigation, no one would say anything. After all, these things were inevitable. After hanging up the phone, Dongfang Badeo gave the phone to Dongfang Inxing, then looked up at Dongfang Jingxing and said, "Jingxing, this time, let Bully and Dongfang Cha openly investigate the cause of Dongfang Jian's death. In secret, they could do whatever they wanted. In this way, it wouldn't be considered as violating the ancient agreement. But first, we must inform the Heavenly Elixir sect and the other big sects of our purpose before we take action, so that no one can use it against us." "Yes, Father, I understand." Dongfang Jingxing's eyes lit up and he understood the meaning of Dongfang Badeo. This way, they could kill two birds with one stone. They could investigate the cause of Dongfang Jian's death, and Dongfang Brua could deal with Su Shihan. "All right, you may leave. I'm going to continue cultivating." Dongfang Badeo said, "I have touched the barrier of great perfection. It is estimated that in the recent 6 months, there will be some progress. At that time, our Dongfang family will have a master of great perfection in the late stage of heaven stage, and we can be ranked among the first-class ancient sects." "Okay, Father, then you and brother continue to cultivate. If you can all break through, then our Dongfang family will be even more powerful." Dongfang Jingxing said quickly. "And Silver Star is still a little bit worse. If he didn't lose and fall, I'm afraid his strength is not inferior to Silver Star. AI, he is the genius of our Dongfang family, and he fell like this. Wait for this old man to break through to the peak of heaven stage late stage, then I will go to the everyday sect to settle accounts. I must let them give me an explanation." Dongfang Badeo sneered. "Yes, now, we can only swallow our anger." Dongfang Jingxing nodded. "Jingxing, your strength is actually not bad. You practice well, and it should not be a problem to raise your strength to the peak of heaven stage late stage. You just think too much about the family all day long. Your aptitude is not much worse than Silver Star." Dongfang Badeo said. "Okay, Father, I will work hard." Dongfang Jingxing smiled bitterly. Before, he wanted to be the young master, but after becoming the young master, he realized how much the young master delayed his cultivation. Of course, if Dongfang Silver Star did not take the initiative to give up his position and compete with Dongfang Jingxing, then it is estimated that Dongfang Jingxing would not think so. Things that are too easy to get are not cherished. If it was like the ancient Feng family, I am afraid it would be another kind of situation. After leaving Dongfang Badeo's room, Dongfang Jingxing went to prepare for Dongfang Brua and Dongfang Cha to enter and leave the secular world. With the attitude that good food is not late, they must be fully prepared, so as not to be criticized by people when they enter and leave the secular world at will. The Dongfang family is not strong enough to ignore others. If Dongfang Badeo and Dongfang Silver Star are successful in promoting to the peak of heaven stage late stage, then the Dongfang family will not be afraid. Dark Night Palace. The Great Elder's face was extremely gloomy, because this morning she received bad news. Palace Master Yi Wan, when taking the Qi-gathering pill to break through to heaven stage, did not get the inheritance. That is to say, Yi Wan, failed to get the inheritance. It must be known that Yi Wan, who has already lost her virginity, wants to accept the inheritance, and the moment of breaking through to heaven stage is the best time to understand the inheritance. If there is no opportunity to understand the inheritance at this time, then there is basically no hope in the next few years. So the Great Elder's heart was broken at this moment, and the dream of the Dark Night Palace was also broken. What the Great Elder is counting on is that she and Yi Wan become the peak of heaven stage late stage at the same time, and then become the participants of the heaven stage island plan, and then set foot on the heavenly way together. In this way, the strength of the Dark Night Palace will have a qualitative leap. Chapter 3076. Although the metal element inheritor of the Dark Palace was an indispensable part of the Sky-class island plan, it wasn't irreplaceable. If the Dark Palace really couldn't do it, then that place, the Five Elements sect, would definitely look for other ways to replace it. It was possible to let a cultivator with a better metal attribute physique gain enlightenment from metal. Although the success rate was relatively low, it was said that would attribute inheritors could be replaced in this way. Therefore, the Grand Elder really felt a sense of urgency. Yi Wan Heir, tell me, what do you think we should do? The Grand Elder was truly anxious this time. When you married a mortal and gave birth to a little bastard, a part of your Dark Phoenix bloodline was separated. Now, if you don't get the inheritance, our Dark Palace is done for. Done for? Do you understand? I'm sorry. Yi Wan Heir lowered her head. She was already a Sky Class early phase now, but she wasn't happy at all. She knew that she wouldn't be able to get the inheritance in the near future. This was a fatal blow to the Dark Palace. I'm sorry? What's the use of sorry? The Grand Elder gritted her teeth. I've decided I'll kill Pengzhan, that mortal, and Meng Yao, that little bastard, to vent my anger. Otherwise, it won't be enough to appease my anger. Don't. Jumped in fright. She didn't expect the Grand Elder to be this ruthless. He was going to attack Meng Yao and Pengzhan. She panicked. Grand Elder, you don't remember Mr. Yang? Yi Wan Heir, you're using that Yang to threaten me. After the Elder heard Yi Wan'er's words, it was as if she had stepped on his foot. He flew into a rage and said, that Yang guy has disappeared for more than 10 years. It's not even certain whether he's dead or not. You want to use him to threaten me? I'm telling you, if he was still alive, he would have come out a long time ago. Would he wait until now? Yi Wan Heir, stop dreaming. The Grand Elder roared in exasperation. Of course, this was for Yi Wan Heir, and also for the Grand Elder herself, because she felt guilty. Although that ruthless man had disappeared for more than 10 years, it was undeniable that he was an incomparably terrifying existence in the Grand Elder's heart. Not to mention the Grand Supreme Elder, any ancient sect would be scared out of their wits at the mention of those two people, the Vajra Fiend duo. As for the Great Elder, he had actually fought with one of the two and even compromised. The one with the surname Yang was Yi Wan Heir and Pengzhan's support. If it weren't for him, the Grand Elder wouldn't have let Pengzhan and Meng Yao go. It was because he was too afraid that the Grand Elder didn't allow anyone to mention this person. Even if this person had disappeared for more than 10 years, the Grand Elder would still feel guilty when she heard this name, so she was flustered and exasperated. But Yi Wan Heir felt wronged. Was it wrong to pursue love? Is it wrong to not want to marry someone you don't like? However, in the final analysis, even if Mr. Yang left, if Mr. Yang was still there, would the Supreme Elder dare to do this? If Mr. Yang was still here, then the Palace of Darkness would be destroyed because of him. It wouldn't decline, right? All right, I declare that from today onwards, Yi Wan Heir will no longer be the Palace Master of the Dark Palace. The Grand Elder had already made his decision. I will temporarily take over the position of Palace Lord until the Dark Phoenix Guiding Stone is activated and a new inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline is found. She will be the new Palace Lord. The new Palace Master will lead us to glory. Yi Wan didn't really care about the position of Palace Master of the Dark Palace. She just wanted to be a normal girl, spending the rest of her life with Pengzhan, taking care of her husband and raising their children. How happy would that be? But now, she had been forcefully pushed into the position of Palace Master. Every day, aside from training, she would inherit. She was already bored enough, but she couldn't say anything about it. Now Yi Wan Heir was free. But what she was most afraid of was that the Grand Elder would do something to Pengzhan and Meng Yao. So, she didn't care if she was going to fall out with the Grand Elder. She said quickly, Grand Elder, finding a new inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline and dealing with Pengzhan and Meng Yao are two different things. Your priority right now is to find the inheritor. Why are you lowering yourself to these two normal people? Plus, Meng Yao's bodyguard, Lin Yi, isn't someone to be trifled with. I heard that he's reached Sky Class early phase now, and can even fight people above his level. You're threatening me again? The Grand Elder glared furiously. Lin Yi, he's just a freelancer trash. Sky Class early phase? Even if he can fight people above his level, what can he do to me? I'll kill him with one slap. I wouldn't have thought of it if you didn't mention it. This Lin Yi, I'm definitely going to get revenge on him. That's right, Lin is arrogant and doesn't respect our palace at all. We should get rid of him as soon as possible. You're wise, Grand Elder. Qibing spoke up. He could tell that Yi Wan heir had lost her power, and all he had to do now was follow the Grand Elder's footsteps and serve the new palace master well. It'd be best if he could become the new palace master's confidant, and that'd be the time for him to shine. You guys? Yi Wan heir fell to the ground, powerless. But she could understand the Grand Elder's anger. From the Grand Elder's point of view, it was Yi Wan heir's fault for being with Pengzhan back then, leading to the palace master's current situation. Alright, that's enough. Elderly, take Wan heir to her place to reflect on her wrongdoing. We don't need her in the future. The Grand Elder didn't mind Yi Wan heir meeting with Elderly now. Even if the two of them were to plot, they wouldn't be able to come up with anything. Yi Wan heir had lost her power. She was just a normal disciple of the palace master, not even an elder. She could only order Elderly around, and the others wouldn't listen to her. Elderly couldn't help her anymore. After all, his power was limited. Now, the rest of you, follow me to the Dark Phoenix Palace and activate the Dark Phoenix Guiding Stone to find the next inheritor of the palace master. We'll kill Lin Yi, Pengzhan, and Meng Yao along the way. Let's go, miss, let's go back. Elderly sighed. It seemed like the Grand Elder had made up his mind, not giving Yi Wan heir a chance to speak or explain. They could only wait for the Grand Elder to find the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix and be in a good mood before pleading with her. Chapter 3077. Elderly, tell me, how can we stop the Grand Elder? Wan Er's heart felt like it was being sliced by a knife. She felt that she was a failure as a mother. It was fine if she couldn't raise her daughter, but in the end she couldn't even protect her, and was even harming her. Miss, the Great Elder won't do anything to the little miss and the young master for now. After all, her mind isn't on this. The inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline is our palace's priority. The Great Elder is angry right now. Once she finds the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline and is in a good mood, we can go and plead for them. We should be able to make her stop. Elderly comforted. But whether or not the Grand Elder could change her mind, Elderly wasn't too sure, but in order to not hurt Wan, he could only say things in a positive direction. That's true. Wan breathed out in relief. Elderly, let's go back first. Can you help me find out about Yao Yao's situation? I'll try my best. Elderly sighed. I've already given control of the Dark Shadow Group to Zhao Qibing, the disciple of Black Cloak. If I want to find out about these things, I can only rely on the people I've trained in the Dark Shadow Group, but it's very difficult for these people to act alone without Zhao Qibing's permission. Elderly, I'll have to trouble you then. Wan smiled bitterly. She knew that the Grand Elder was guarding against her and Elderly, so she did her best to take away their power so that they had no right to speak in the palace. The Grand Elder brought a group of elders and disciples of the Dark Palace. They came together to the Dark Phoenix Palace at the peak of the Dark Phoenix mountain range. Here was the ancient Dark Phoenix Guiding Stone. This guiding stone. In fact, its original purpose was to find the Dark Phoenix, but an ancestor of the palace accidentally discovered that this stone could also be used to find the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, and this discovery was used until now. As the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace, it was easy for her to activate the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone. She did all the preparations and activated it. Beneath the Dark Phoenix's guiding stone, it was a huge map of the world, and the coordinates were shockingly accurate. After the Dark Phoenix stone was activated, a small, ordinary-looking stone suddenly shone with golden light and flew into the sky, reaching a very high altitude. If it wasn't for its blinding light, the people from the Palace of Darkness wouldn't even be able to see its existence. However, the light was simply too dazzling. Even though the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone had already flown to an altitude of several thousand meters, everyone could still see the golden light radiating from it. This was the power of an ancient divine tool. However, this divine artifact could only be used to find the descendant of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. It couldn't be used as a heaven-ranked divine artifact. Otherwise, it would be extremely powerful. The Grand Elder and everyone else looked up at the Dark Phoenix Guiding Stone in the sky with bated breath. They knew that the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone was searching for an inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. From the sky, it searched for any possessors of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. It was the first time Zhao Qibing had seen something like this, and he clicked his tongue in amazement. This Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone was really something. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have thought that he was watching a sci-fi movie. The hidden world knew too little about these divine weapons, and this was also why even old Zhao didn't have a heaven-class weapon. The hidden house's foundation wasn't strong enough to have something like this. Even in the ancient sects, there weren't many heaven-ranked divine weapons left. Not every heaven-ranked expert could find a divine weapon that was suitable for them to use. This was also the reason why Lin Yi was able to trade a weapon that the Snowy Valley had taken a liking to. Otherwise, the Snowy Valley wouldn't have been willing to take such a loss. The Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone kept circling in the air, emitting a blinding golden light. Everyone from the Dark Palace was extremely nervous, their hearts racing. The Grand Elder himself, on the other hand, was holding his breath. The contents of the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone affected the future of the entire Dark Palace. If the stone couldn't find an inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, then the Dark Palace would be finished. Actually, the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone hadn't been circling in the sky for a long time. In fact, it could even be said to be very short. However, this short 10 minutes felt like a year to everyone present. Even Zhao Qibing was a little nervous. After all, if the Dark Palace became strong, then he would be the strong one. If the Dark Palace was finished, then how was he going to take revenge on Lin Yi? And so, Zhao Qibing prayed in his heart, praying that the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone would be able to find an inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline smoothly. Slowly, the golden light on the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone grew dimmer and dimmer, disappearing as the stone started to descend as well. Either the Dark Phoenix Guiding Stone had found the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, or the Dark Phoenix Guiding Stone hadn't found the inheritor. There were only two possibilities. The result would soon be revealed. With a swoosh, the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone landed on a spot on the map. But no matter where it landed, as long as it didn't land on the starting point, it meant that it had found the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. Found it, Grand Elder, found it. Zhao Qibing pointed at the map and yelled. As far as he was concerned, the Dark Palace was about to become strong, and he, Zhao Qibing, was about to follow suit. What's the coordinate? Write it down and look it up on the computer. The Grand Elder was very excited. He didn't think that they would really find it. In this world, other than the inheritors of the Dark Palace, there was someone else with the Dark Phoenix bloodline? One had to know that the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone couldn't be wrong. If it said there was, then there was. And now, they didn't need to look for the coordinates anymore. Now that they had computers, the Dark Palace was also using this kind of high-tech equipment. As long as they input the coordinates of the Dark Phoenix Guidance Stone into the computer, they would be able to pinpoint a city. Although it was only a city's area, as long as they knew the approximate distance, the Grand Elder would be able to sense the existence of the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. All he had to do was follow his intuition. Chapter 3078. He entered the coordinates Zhao Qibing gave him into the computer, but the city's location shocked the Grand Elder. Grand Elder, the coordinates are in the north of East Ocean City. The disciple reported the result to the Grand Elder. Donghai City? Grand Elder, of course, wasn't a stranger to Donghai City. She sent people to cause trouble for Lin Yi in Donghai City, but she didn't expect the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline to be in Donghai City as well. If the Grand Elder had known this, he would have gone to East Ocean City himself. Only those who had cultivated the Dark Night Palace cultivation technique and reached the late stage of the Heaven Realm could sense the aura of the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, but the black-robed elder didn't have this ability. That's right, it's Donghai City. The disciple turned the screen to face Grand Elder. The Grand Elder glanced at it and nodded, knowing that the disciple wouldn't lie to her. Now, she was ready to go to East Ocean City in person. Donghai City? That's great, it's heaven's will. Grand Elder smiled coldly. This way, I don't even have to do anything. I'll just find the inheritor and kill Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Peng Zhen. Grand Elder, you're wise. Zhao Qibing was overjoyed. If the Grand Elder came personally, then Lin Yi would be nothing no matter how strong he was. Grand Elder was a sky-class late-stage peak now. Killing Lin Yi would be a piece of cake. Alright, Qibing, don't flatter me. I know you want to kill Lin Yi, but so do I. But this old one is also the same. Grand Elder said, but this time, you don't have to go with us. After all, I'm going out to find the inheritor, and if you go with me, it won't be easy for you to take revenge. Yes. Qibing wanted to see Lin Yi die with his own eyes, but since Grand Elder said no, he couldn't force it, could he? Black-clothed Elder, go talk to the Heavenly Elixir sect and a few other big ancient sections. The Palace of Darkness has activated the Dark Phoenix Guiding Stone and found a new inheritor of the Dark Phoenix. I'm going to enter the mortal world. The Great Elder said to the Elder in black. Yes. The black-clothed Elder quickly nodded. This time, it's perfectly justifiable for us to go. Let's see if the Heavenly Elixir sect dares to stop us. After returning the Dark Phoenix Guiding Stone to its original position and sealing the mechanism, the Grand Elder led the crowd away. He was preparing to enter and leave the mortal world. Yi Wan Heir and Elderly were the first to know what happened in the Dark Knight Palace. Although Yi Wan Heir and Elderly had lost their power, they still had some confidence in the Dark Knight Palace. They didn't need to hide what happened before, and they needed to spread the news to all the disciples of the Dark Knight Palace. So Yi Waner and Elderly also knew. Elderly, what a coincidence, they're both in Donghai. The Great Elder is going to deal with Yao Yao and Pengzhan, what should we do? Yi Wana was a little lost. Although she was a Sky-class early phase master, she didn't have any of the dignity of a Sky-class master. She was like a little girl. Young miss, I didn't expect such a coincidence either. Originally, if we were in two different cities, after the Grand Elder found the Dark Phoenix's inheritor, he would focus all his attention on the Dark Phoenix's inheritor and not bother young miss and young master. However, now that we're in the same city and it's on the way, it'll be easy for him to take revenge. This is a little difficult. Elderly was also having a headache. The coincidences had caught him off guard. What should we do? Yi Waner panicked. I'll go beg the Great Elder now and ask her to show mercy. I'm still a Sky-class master, even if I'm not the Palace Master, I can still be an Elder of the Dark Knight Palace. The Great Elder wouldn't want me to have a problem with the Dark Knight Palace because of Yao Yao and Pengzhan, right? That's a good reason. How about this, we'll go see the Great Elder now. Elderly nodded and said. Yi Waner also nodded and quickly ran with Elderly to the Great Elder's room. At this moment, the black-clothed Elder had just gone to notify the Sky Elixir sect and a series of larger ancient sections. This way, the Dark Knight Palace would have enough reason to enter the mortal world. Great Elder, Palace Master, Yi Waner and Elderly are here to see you. A disciple carefully reported to the Great Elder. He almost said, Palace Master, but after thinking about it carefully, he realized that it wasn't right. Right now, Yi Waner wasn't the Palace Master anymore. What are they here for? The Supreme Elder frowned. He didn't need to think about it to know that they were here to plead for leniency. But now that the Supreme Elder was in a good mood, he said to the disciple, Okay, then let them come in. The disciple quickly replied and left the room. After a while, Yi Waner and Elderly walked into the Great Elder's room together. Yi Waner, Elderly, why are you two here? The Great Elder asked. Great Elder, first of all, Elderly and I are here to congratulate the Great Elder for finding the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. This is a joyous occasion for the Dark Knight Palace, and as the previous Palace Master, I'm naturally very happy. Yi Waner didn't dare talk about Meng Yao and Pengzhan directly, so she said a few good things first. Yes, this is indeed a good thing. The Grand Elder was also very happy. The Palace of Darkness was almost finished, but now, it was back from the dead. There's one more thing that I would like to speak to the Great Elder about. Elderly suddenly spoke up. Speak. The Great Elder waved his hand and said to Elderly. It's like this, Great Elder, look, Yi Waner used to be the Palace Master, and although she isn't now, she's still an early phase Sky class. We're currently lacking talents, so Yi Waner can become an Elder? Elderly said. That's for sure, an early phase Sky class is more than enough to become an Elder of the Dark Knight Palace. The Great Elder nodded. Chapter 3079. The elder couldn't help but nod. One had to admit that Elder Li's words made sense. If she were to kill Pingzhan and Meng Yao, then Yiwan would be traumatized as well, and wouldn't be so eager to serve the Palace of Darkness. The Great Elder was a person who placed benefits above all else. In her heart, face and dignity were not important. Only the benefits of the sect were the most important. As long as it could bring benefits to the sect, it was a good thing. Those who brought benefits were good people. Otherwise, it was the opposite. No, Grand Elder. Just as the Grand Elder was hesitating and about to agree to Elder Li's request, Zhao Qibing jumped out. Ambush, why not? Asked the Supreme Elder. Qibing only wanted to kill Lin. Whether Meng Yao and Pengzhan died or not, it didn't matter to him. The ones he wanted to kill the most were Lin Yi and Yushu. But, if the Grand Elder were to let Meng Yao and Pengzhan go, he wouldn't kill Lin Yi for him alone. So, Qibing jumped out and objected. Grand Elder, think about it. If you make a mistake and don't get punished, wouldn't everyone make a mistake? Qibing asked back, if this new inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline had a boyfriend, and she slept with him in private, wouldn't she learn from Yiwan and we wouldn't punish her? Without severe punishment, how can we make her listen to us? Qibing, you're right. The Grand Elder nodded. Indeed, nothing could be accomplished without rules. If he let Pengzhan and Meng Yao go, then he'd be in trouble. If the new inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline were to follow suit, wouldn't it be a complete mess? Grand Elder. It's not like that. Yiwan immediately became anxious. Grand Elder, I agree with Zhao Qibing's opinion. The black-robed elder did not give Yiwan a chance to speak. He interrupted her and said to the Grand Elder, not only must he be punished, he must be severely punished. At that time, he'd find the inheritor and kill Pengzhan and Meng Yao right in front of the inheritor's face. Kill the chicken to warn the monkey, let her see the consequences of disobedience. Elder Blackrobe, you're right. The High Elder nodded. She had already made her decision. She waved her hand at Yiwan and said, Yiwan, you and Elder Li can go back. I have made up my mind, and the matter has already been decided. There will be no more changes. Grand Elder, I beg you, please let Yao Yao and the others go. They are innocent. Yiwan was anxious. He immediately knelt on the ground. Zhao Qibing, send the guest off. The Grand Elder humphed coldly, unmoved by Yiwan's plea. Yiwan, Elder Li, please? You don't want to piss off the Grand Elder, do you? Qibing said. He didn't put Yiwan and Elder Li in his eyes at all. They were just existences that had lost power in the Palace of Darkness. Qibing believed that as long as he held onto the Grand Elder and the new Palace Master's thighs, his position in the Palace of Darkness would be secure. Of course, this was just the Grand Elder's wishful thinking. If he found the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, would she definitely come to the Palace of Darkness to train? What if she didn't come? As far as the Grand Elder was concerned, the Palace of Darkness was very powerful. It was an ancient sect, and people could gain immortality and strength through training. This was something that others would kill for. Wasn't Zhao Qibing the same as well? So, as far as the Grand Elder was concerned, as long as he found the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, she would cry and beg to come back to the Palace of Darkness with him. The question of whether or not she would come didn't even cross his mind. Yiwan and Elder Li had no choice but to go back first. Yiwan could only wash her face with tears, while Elder Li could only sigh. There was nothing he could do. A Lexus LX 570 stopped in front of Shueshang Business Hotel. This was a business hotel located in East Ocean University. A young man and a middle-aged man got out of the car. These two, naturally, were Dongfang Brua and Dongfang Cha, who had come to Donghai City. Dongfang Cha, are you sure that Su Shihan has come to Donghai City? Dongfang Brua had gone through a long journey, and he had some necessities. Although he was a practitioner, he rarely took a car. This sudden trip made him very uncomfortable. He wanted to find a girl to have some fun with, and the best candidate was Su Shihan. So, as soon as the car stopped, Dongfang Brua couldn't wait anymore. I'm sure, young Master Bru. Su Shihan secretly took a plane to Donghai City and didn't inform the media, but I still found her flight records through a company in the common world. Dongfang Cha said. Dongfang Cha said, plus, Feng Tianlin of the ancient Feng family already knows about this. He doesn't want anything to happen to Su Shihan, so he will definitely tell her to hide. So, Su Shihan must be in East Ocean City. Then how do we know where Su Shihan is? Dongfang Bra was getting impatient. Donghai City is so big, where are we going to find her? Don't worry, there will be news soon. I have other sources of information, Dongfang Cha said. Okay, if that's the case, then we'll wait. Dongfang Burua knew that he wouldn't be able to see Su Shihan today, so he said to Dongfang Cha, go find me a few female students, I want to have some fun. I've been cooped up at home for so long, I finally have the chance to come out and have some fun. No problem, young Master Burua. Dongfang Cha nodded. Although, in his eyes, Dongfang Burua was far from Dongfang Burua, he couldn't help it. Dongfang Burua died. Now that Dongfang Burua was the only heir of the Dongfang family, Dongfang Cha would be able to get on Dongfang Burua's good side. And then get me a room to rest first. Dongfang Burua nodded. As far as he was concerned, getting Su Shihan to bed with a master like Dongfang Cha wasn't a difficult task. Even without Dongfang Cha, he, Dongfang Burua, who was an Earth-class late-phase peak, could handle it. On the other hand, investigating the cause of Dongfang Jian's death was more difficult. Who knew who Dongfang Jian offended in the Cultivator Trade Association? Now, the association wasn't cooperating, and he had to investigate by himself. How was he supposed to investigate? To be honest, Dongfang Burua came to the common world for Su Shihan. Dongfang Jian's death was just an excuse. He didn't care about it at all. Chapter 3080. He was a cold-blooded man. To him, Dongfang Jian might have died because of him, but he was still an elder of the Dongfang family. It was his honor to sacrifice for the family. Dongfang Cha went to look for a number for Dongfang Bu. It had to be said that there were a lot of materialistic women working part-time. Dongfang Cha didn't even need to go out. She directly asked the hotel and got a lot of phone numbers. After finding 2 for Dongfang Burua, Dongfang Cha left the hotel and prepared to inquire about Dongfang Jian. Dongfang Burua didn't care about Dongfang Jian's death, but Dongfang Cha was very concerned about Dongfang Jian's death. Dongfang Cha was also an elder of the family, so he naturally had to find out the cause of Dongfang Jian's death. Otherwise, if Dongfang Cha died one day, no one would avenge him. However, Dongfang Cha received an angry phone call from Dongfang Burua as soon as he left the hotel. Dongfang Cha, are you trying to kill me? Dongfang Burua yelled. Young Master Burua, what's wrong? Dongfang Cha was confused. He didn't know why Dongfang Burua was so angry. He asked carefully, why would I do that? What the hell happened? What happened? Where the fuck did you find them? Dongfang Burua yelled. At the hotel. The waiter gave me a name card. I found them. Dongfang Cha said carefully. He didn't know how he had offended Dongfang Burua. Was the quality of the women he found too low? That couldn't be. He looked at the photos on the card and picked the 2 prettiest ones. Why wasn't Dongfang Burua satisfied? Is that so? There are mushrooms down there. Dongfang Burua yelled, one with mushrooms and one with flowers. Luckily, my eyes are good. Otherwise, I'd be dead if I got AIDS. Hiss. Dongfang Cha was shocked. He didn't expect something like this to happen. It seemed like it was a sick lady in disguise. Dongfang Burua was almost killed. Young Master Burua, I don't know. You know that I asked them to go to their rooms after I found them. I could only see their faces. I couldn't take off their clothes to check. Dongfang Cha said with a bitter smile. Damn it, I told the 2 of them to scram. Dongfang Burua said, this young master is very angry right now. Go and catch 2 pure ones for me. I want sex. I think with your eyesight, you should be able to tell, right? That's true, but... Young Master Bu, we're here to investigate the cause of Dongfang Jian's death. What if something goes wrong if we arrest someone randomly? Dongfang Cha was a little hesitant. He didn't want to cause trouble. Capturing Su Shihan is also capturing. Can't we capture her? Dongfang Burua snorted coldly. Dongfang Cha, if my father finds out that you gave me 2 sick girls, think about it yourself. Not weak, young master, don't be angry. I'll go find 2 stunning beauties for you right now. Dong Fangcha hurriedly said, but high-quality ones can't be found in a day. That's not a problem. I've already hooked up with 2 waiters from the hotel. They're not bad, but you have to find me a beautiful woman in a few days. Dong Fang Burua nodded. That's not a problem. Okay, no problem. Dong Fangcha breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he had enough time, he could slowly look for them. He didn't have to rush. Dong Fangcha originally wanted to go to the trade association, but he could only change his route and find a nearby school. If he wanted to find stunning beauties, he had to be careful. Dong Fangcha looked at the navigation map on his phone. The nearest university was Donghai Industry University. Dong Fangcha walked in the direction of Donghai Industry University. After entering the campus, Dong Fangcha didn't look left and right like an idiot. Instead, he saw a few silk-haired guys sitting under the basketball hoop and chatting. Brothers, chatting? Dong Fangcha quickly walked over and pretended to be chatting. Uncle, who are you? These students were obviously still vigilant. They were still on guard when a stranger suddenly came over to talk to them. Haha, I'm the person in charge of the National School Beauties program on XX website. I'm here to count the school beauties of Donghai Industry University. Dong Fangcha said calmly. Why should we believe you? The guy clearly didn't believe Dong Fangcha. Who knows more? I'll pay for the clues. With that, Dong Fangcha took out a stack of cash from his pocket. There was about 3,000 to 4,000 yuan in it. The guy's eyes lit up. They rushed to say, I know. Okay, then you guys can say it together. Everyone can top it up. This money is yours. Dong Fangcha. These guys were also good buddies in the same dormitory, so it didn't matter who gave the money to. Since everyone was spending it together, everyone started talking at once. The 3 most popular school beauties in our school are Chu Mengyao, Yu Shu, and Wang Xinyan. These 3 are the most popular school beauties in our school. One of the guys started talking. After those 3 is... Another guy was about to add, but Dong Fangcha cut him off. No need for that. We're choosing school beauties, not just anyone. The most beautiful ones from each school are enough. Dong Fangcha. Now, tell me, what are these 3 school beauties? What are their majors? Do they have boyfriends? Dong Fangcha remembered Dong Fang Brua's name. She had to find out if they had boyfriends or not. If they did, then so be it. Meng Yao and Yu Shu are economics majors. I don't think they have boyfriends. I don't know if they're close with any guy. One of the guys said. But those 2 are goddesses. One's super pretty, and the other has a great body. It's a perfect combination. Wang Xinyan's love life is a bit messy. She has a boyfriend at school, and I think she has a fiancé, but she's still living with her boyfriend. Another guy said. Chapter 3081. So, Dong Fangcha said, when we choose school beauties, we don't just need beauty, but also a good character. This Wang Xinyan doesn't study and only knows how to date. Forget it, let's talk about Meng Yao and Yu Shu. Do you have any photos of them? Yes, we do. A guy quickly took out his phone and showed Yu Shu and Meng Yao's pictures to Dong Fangti. Here they are. One's the goddess type, and the other has the face of an angel and the body of a devil. Dong Fangti's eyes lit up when he saw Yu Shu and Meng Yao's picture. They were so pretty, even he was tempted. Dong Fangti thought that if he could have some fun with Dong Fang Brua after he was done with them, it'd be a worthwhile trip. He wondered if young Master Dong Fang Brua would let him have some fun with them. Dong Fangti's heart itched at the thought, and he became a lot more enthusiastic. He'd been pissed at Dong Fang Brua for asking him to do this. He was here to do business, not to pimp Dong Fang Brua. But now, he was more than willing to do it. It'd be great if he could have sex with one of these girls, let alone 2. Can you send it to me? Dong Fangti asked. Of course. The guy sent it to Dong Fangti. Dong Fangti, on the other hand, gave the money to the guys after getting the pictures and information of Meng Yao and Yu Shu, and started thinking about what to do next. Meng Yao and Yu Shu were both from the economics faculty, which meant that they must be having classes in the economics faculty's building. As long as he waited nearby, he'd be able to catch them. With that in mind, Dong Fangti went back to the hotel and got his car, but on the way there, he received a call from the young master of the house, Dongfang Jinxing. Young master. Dongfang Ti answered the phone respectfully. Dongfang Ti, you've arrived, right? I saw that you've arrived in Donghai, and you're driving to the Slave Trade Association? Dongfang Jinxing asked. But Dongfang Cha paused. She wasn't going to the Slave Trade Association, she was going to East Ocean Industry University. However, it was impossible to lie to Dongfang Jinxing. Not to mention that Dongfang Cha did not dare to lie in front of Dongfang Jinxing. Even if she lied, Dongfang Jinxing had to believe her. Not only did the car have the Dongfang family's GPS, but it also had a recording and video system. How could he dare to speak carelessly? Therefore, Dongfang Jinxing hesitated for a moment and decided to tell the truth. After all, betraying Dongfang Buqiu was better than lying to Dongfang Jinxing. Young master, I'm going to East Ocean Industry University. Dongfang just. East Ocean Industry University? Dongfang Jinxing paused and asked, Dongfang Cha, what are you doing there? Young master, it's like this. Dongfang Cha didn't dare to hide anything. She told Dongfang Jinxing about how Dongfang Bruo wanted to have some fun in East Ocean City, but he found 2 sick girls. Now, I'm going to catch them for young master Bruo, this little bastard. Dongfang Jinxing frowned, but he couldn't say anything. Dongfang Bruo was spoiled by Dongfang Bideo. This time, he went to deal with Su Shirhan, and Dongfang Bideo allowed it. What was the big deal about catching 2? Therefore, although Dongfang Jinxing wasn't happy, he still said, okay, then be careful. Don't let anyone see it and leave any evidence. Although we are an ancient sect, there are still other ancient sects that restrict us. Don't worry, young master. The purpose of my driving here is to knock them out and put them in the car. When the time comes, no one will know. Who will find out? Dongfang Cha said. Okay, then after you finish these things, try to find time to investigate Dongfang Jian. If you go to the mortal world and don't even go to the Slave Trade Association, then it won't be right. Don't forget the reason why we enter the mortal world. Dongfang Jinxing said. I understand, young master, I will go tomorrow. Dongfang Cha said. Dongfang Jinxing didn't say anything else and directly hung up the phone. In his opinion, catching 2 students wasn't a big deal. In the ancient sects, the concept of human life was relatively weak. In their eyes, ordinary people were similar to ants. Only masters were important. Dongfang Cha drove the car directly to the economics department and waited for them to arrive. At this moment, it was not far from the end of the school. Time passed by, and finally, Dongfang Cha waited for the end of the class. From the economics department's teaching building, students began to come out in 2s and 3s. As a sky class, Dongfang Cha's spiritual sense was extremely strong. He didn't need to get close to the students to be able to clearly distinguish Meng Yao and Yu Shu among the students who came out. At this moment, the 2 hadn't come out yet. However, after waiting for 10 minutes, Dongfang Cha found Meng Yao and Yu Shu. However, Dongfang Cha didn't make a move immediately. Instead, he drove the car behind the 2. There were too many people here, and if Dongfang Cha made a move, the other students would block the car in front of him. Although he wasn't afraid of killing all these students, it would still be troublesome. So, Dongfang Cha waited until Meng Yao and Yu Shu walked in the direction of the parking lot. Only when there was no one else on the road did he suddenly step on the gas pedal. The car sped up and stopped beside Meng Yao and Yu Shu. He opened the door and jumped out in front of Meng Yao and Yu Shu. After school, the other students either went back to their dorms or went to the cafeteria. Almost no one went to the parking lot. Only Meng Yao and Yu Shu went to the parking lot every day when they went home, so there weren't many people on the road. The place that Dongfang Cha chose to make a move was a blind spot. Even if there were people far away, they wouldn't be able to see it. What are you doing? Meng Yao looked at the person in front of her vigilantly. But Dongfang Cha wasn't an idiot. She didn't waste any time talking to Meng Yao and Yu Shu. She grabbed the 2 girls by the collar and knocked them on the back of their necks, knocking them out cold. Chapter 3082. The Grand Elder brought the black-clothed elder with her this time. After leaving the Dark Palace, they headed straight for East Ocean City. After dozens of hours of travel, they finally arrived at East Ocean City. The 2 of them found a random hotel to stay in. The Grand Elder didn't stay idle and brought the black-clothed elder out of the hotel. She couldn't wait anymore. The inheritor was the future hope of the Dark Palace. The Grand Elder believed that it was better to be safe than sorry. The earlier she saw the inheritor, the earlier she could be at ease. What if something happened to her later? It had to be said that Yi Wanner's matter had already made the Great Elder a little nervous. She was afraid that if she was a step late, something would happen that caught her off guard, so she didn't rest at the hotel at all. The good thing was that the Grand Elder and the black-clothed elder were both cultivators, so they weren't tired at all. This time, the Grand Elder and the black-clothed elder didn't drive. Instead, they sped through the city on foot. The Grand Elder had already sensed the aura of the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. She couldn't wait to fly over. Following the aura of the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, the Grand Elder chased after them. As they got closer and closer, the Grand Elder became more and more excited. When the Grand Elder and the black-clothed elder entered the campus of Donghai Industry University, they attracted the attention of all the students in the university. Because these two people actually wore ancient clothes to school. Were they here to shoot a TV show? However, the Great Elder didn't care about these people's sidelong glances. She was here to find a successor, and other things didn't matter to her. The Great Elder lived for the sect, not for her own face. Almost there, almost there. The Grand Elder was very excited. However, just as the Grand Elder saw the inheritor of her dreams, she saw a man driving a white SUV knock out the inheritor and another girl, then drag them into the car together. The Grand Elder immediately flew into a rage, and a wave of anger couldn't help but surge up from his ribs. This is this old woman's inheritor. Who the fuck are you? How dare you take the inheritor away? What do you want to do? After catching Mengyao and Yushu, Dongfangcha called Dongfangbroa as she drove. What's wrong, Dongfangcha? What's up? Dongfangbroa had just finished pleasuring the two waitresses and was resting when he received a call from Dongfangcha. Young Master Bu, I've caught 2 campus bells according to your instructions. They are the 2 most beautiful campus bells in East Ocean Industry University. I'll bring them back for you to enjoy. Since Dongfang Jingxing had acquiesced, he naturally dared to make a phone call in the car. Otherwise, if the recording and video in the car were to be sent back, he would be in serious trouble. But now it didn't matter. Oh, already done? That's great. I'm done here. You can bring them back. I'll have dinner and enjoy myself again. Dongfang Buick said happily after hearing Dongfang Cha's words. Okay, young Master Buick. Dongfang Cha couldn't help but continue. Young Master Buick, when you're done, can you let me have a good time as well? Sure, no problem. Dongfang Buick readily agreed. If you want your subordinates to do things for you, you can't just give them some benefits, right? This time, Dongfang Cha had tasted the sweetness. Next time, he would be more proactive in helping him find beautiful women. Okay, I'll go back right now. Huh. Just as Dongfang Cha hung up the phone, he stepped on the brakes. He suddenly realized that there was an old woman standing in front of his car. Old woman, are you fucking courting death? Why are you standing in front of the car? Get out of here. Dongfang Cha scolded angrily. If it weren't for the fact that he was a heaven stage master and had quick reflexes, he would have been killed. Although Dongfang Cha was not afraid of killing people, it would be troublesome if she did. After all, there was a man in black who was not standing in front of the car. The 2 campus bells in the car might be discovered, and his plan would be ruined. Therefore, Dongfang Cha was very angry. Dongfang Cha was angry, and the Grand Elder was even more angry. He was so angry that he laughed. What did you say? You said I'm an old woman? You old thing, don't think that you're a star just because you're wearing a costume. Stop wasting time and get out of here, or I'll kill you. When Dongfang Cha saw the Supreme Elder and the black-clothed elder's attire, she didn't think too much of it. She thought they were actors from some drama troupe or TV series. After all, ancient families were different from ancient sections. Most ancient families had accepted modern clothing, but ancient sects still retained their traditions. Moreover, Dongfang Cha didn't expect the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace, who was also from the ancient world, to appear here. This was unrealistic. Originally, When the Grand Elder heard Dong Fangcha's call in the car, he was already furious. You want to have fun? How could the Grand Elder not understand Dong Fangcha's intentions? He wanted to push down the two girls in the car. But one of them was the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline chosen by the Dark Palace. If he lost his virginity, wouldn't the Grand Elder go crazy? This had almost pushed the Palace of Darkness into the abyss. How could the Great Elder not be angry? Therefore, the Supreme Elder's killing intent had already been aroused in her heart. She nodded and said, "Very good, very good. Not only did you dare to kidnap someone that I value, you even dared to call me an old woman and an old thing. Today I'll kill you first." Dong Fangcha frowned. He didn't want to argue with the Grand Elder, but this old woman was blocking his way. What could he do? Since he couldn't kill her, he could only get out of the car, throw them aside, and quickly drive away. "Old thing, you're asking for it." As she spoke, Dong Fangcha reached out to grab the Great Supreme Elder. She was about to grab her and throw her out. But when Dong Fangcha grabbed the Grand Elder's arm, she felt her whole body shake. How could she miss? Was she a master? When the Supreme Elder was caught, although he was annoyed, he naturally used his internal cultivation method to resist. Chapter 3083. Bang! Dong Fangcha was sent flying backward. A peak late-stage heaven-ranked master was not someone a low-stage heaven-ranked master like him could fight against. However, as she was flying backward, Dong Fangcha hurriedly activated her mental cultivation method and used her vital qi to protect her body. Only then did she not die from the blow. When Dong Fangcha showed his early-stage heaven-ranked strength, the Grand Elder was also stunned. This person was also a heaven-ranked master? And an early-stage heaven-ranked one at that? This person wasn't Lin Yi, was he? Could it be that Lin Yi kidnapped the two girls in the car and was planning to do something bad to them? According to the phone call, it seemed that they were sold to someone, and that person ate the meat while Lin Yi drank the soup. The Grand Elder couldn't be blamed for the misunderstanding. After all, there were very few cultivators in the mortal world. They couldn't even see a mystic-class master, let alone a heaven-class master. Even golden-class masters were extremely rare. Therefore, the Grand Elder naturally thought that the person in front of him was Lin Yi when there was a cultivator who had the same level of strength as Lin Yi in East Ocean City. Die! The Grand Elder had already wanted to kill this person. Now that he thought that this person was Lin Yi, the Grand Elder was even more determined to kill him. The Grand Elder directly took out her heaven-grade godly weapon and threw out a piece of red ridge that was shining with golden light. "Don't kill me, I'm Dong Fang." Dong Fangcha was really scared. His opponent was a peak late-stage heaven-ranked master, and he was no match for him. Therefore, Dong Fangcha began to show his background. He believed that as long as he showed his background, his opponent would let him go since they were both people from the ancient times. At most, the Dongfang family would sacrifice some benefits to make amends. However, before he could finish his sentence, the Grand Supreme Elder's red caltrip smashed into Dongfang Cha's chest with a loud bang. Dongfang Cha's chest caved in and he died with his eyes wide open before he could finish his sentence. Dongfang? What Dongfang? After killing Dongfang Cha, the highest elder realized that something was wrong. Things did not seem to be what she had imagined. This person did not seem to be Lin Yi. "Hey Yi, is this person Lin Yi?" The Grand Elder frowned and turned to ask Kate. "No, it's not Lin Yi." The black-clothed elder shook his head. "Check his body and see if there's any keepsake on him." The Supreme Elder also felt that something was wrong. Dongfang, could it be someone from the ancient Dongfang family? The black-clothed elder nodded and quickly searched Dongfang Cha's body. However, he did not find any useful clues. So, he got into Dongfang Cha's car and began to search it. Not long after, the black-clothed elder got out of the car and handed over a tapping device, a surveillance camera, a GPS system, and a mobile phone to the Supreme Elder. Then he said, "Supreme Elder, these are all the suspicious items in the car." The tapping device and the surveillance camera were all transmitted through the 3G network. This caused the highest elder's expression to change slightly. It seemed that the scene of him killing Dongfang Cha had already been transmitted. Thinking of this, the highest elder angrily crushed the tapping device and the surveillance camera. As for the GPS system, it was no longer important. Whether it was destroyed or not, Dongfang Cha's family would already know his location. After opening Dongfang Cha's mobile phone, the elder immediately saw the contact names of the Dongfang family's Old Master, Dongfang Young Master, and Young Master Bu. She immediately knew that her guess was correct. This person was indeed from the ancient Dongfang family. Throw this person's body into the trunk of the car. Don't let anyone find it. The highest elder instructed the black-clothed elder. Although no one had passed by for the time being, she was not sure if anyone would pass by later. Yes. The black-clothed elder nodded and quickly lifted Dongfang Cha's body from the ground and threw it into the trunk of the off-road vehicle. After watching the black-clothed elder do all this, the highest elder said, "It seems that this person is from the Dongfang family. The scene of me killing him should have been transmitted back to his family. However, this matter is not our fault. Black-clothed, immediately send a message to the Palace of Darkness. Tell them that the Dongfang family kidnapped the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline of the Palace of Darkness with ill intentions. That's why I killed him." "Yes, Supreme Elder." The black-clothed elder nodded. He also knew that killing someone from the Dongfang family was not a small matter. After all, the Dongfang family was more powerful than the Palace of Darkness. However, if the Palace of Darkness had a reason for doing this, then it would be a different story. The inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline of the Palace of Darkness was a huge matter to the entire ancient world. If the Dongfang family kidnapped her, then it would not only affect the interests of the Palace of Darkness, but also the interests of the entire ancient world and the Five Elements sect. As long as the news got out, the highest elder believed that no matter how powerful the Dongfang family was, they could only swallow their anger. After all, they could not go against the entire ancient world. After receiving the order, the black-clothed elder went to contact the Palace of Darkness. He also knew the seriousness of the matter. Although the highest elder killed Dongfang Cha because she wanted to harm the inheritor of the Palace of Darkness, no one knew about it. So the Palace of Darkness had to spread the news first. Once the other ancient sects knew about it, then the Palace of Darkness would be fine. After all, the matter of the Palace of Darkness finding an inheritor was something that would benefit the entire ancient world. Among the ancient sects, which one of the peak late-phase heaven-class masters didn't want to ascend to the heavenly Tao? Your Dongfang clan is powerful, but you can't just take the heir of the Dark Palace and fuck her. If you really fucked her, forget about killing you, I'll even wipe out your entire Dongfang clan. So, as long as the news got out, no one would say anything wrong about the Palace of Darkness. They would all say that Dongfang Cha brought this upon herself. This was also what the highest elder wanted to achieve. Alright, highest elder, I think it won't be long before the entire ancient world finds out that the inheritor of the Palace of Darkness was almost raped by Dongfang Cha of the Dongfang family. In order to protect the inheritor, the highest elder killed Dongfang Cha. The black-clothed elder did not distort the truth, because there was a video and audio transmission system in the car. Although it was destroyed by the highest elder, the audio and video could still be transmitted to the Dongfang family. Chapter 3084. Well done. The great elder nodded and walked quickly to the white off-road vehicle. She wanted to see how the inheritor she had been yearning for day and night was doing. However, before the great elder could reach the off-road vehicle, she saw a travel-worn person running towards her. The grand elder didn't know who this person was, but the black-clothed elder's face changed when he saw this person. It was Lin. Yushu's phone had an alarm software installed. Once she was in danger, she would use the shortcut key to activate the software, and the software would automatically send a warning signal, sending the phone's current location along with the warning signal to the designated phone number. This was also a measure Yushu had researched for safety. So when Lin Yi received the news, he went straight to the school without even driving. It wasn't far anyways, and Lin Yi would be faster if he ran over. Seeing Lin Yi flying over, the grand elder was confused. Why did another come after killing one? This person in front of him obviously didn't come with good intentions. The grand elder could even feel that this person's target was the car in front of him. Who's there? The grand elder yelled and revealed his sky-class late-phase peak strength. With the impulse from before, the Grand Elder didn't dare to kill people casually anymore. It would be troublesome if he killed too many people. Plus, this person didn't kidnap Meng Yao and Yushu, he just rushed over. The Grand Elder revealed his strength so that he could retreat. The Grand Elder's strength made Lin Yi's face change slightly. He didn't expect the Grand Elder to be a Sky-class late-phase peak master. Looking at the Grand Elder's side, it was the black-clothed Elder. Lin Yi knew this person. He was from the Dark Palace, Zhao Qibing's master. This discovery made Lin Yi go on high alert. A Sky-class late-phase peak master actually came to the common world. What were they trying to do? They were actually targeting Meng Yao and Yushu? Because Lin didn't see Dongfang Cha, he subconsciously thought that the two elders were here for Meng Yao and Yushu. So, even if they are strong, Lin Yi has to face them. What did you do to Yao Yao and Shu? Since when did the Palace of Darkness become so shameless, capturing people from the common world? Yao Yao? Xiao Shu? Grand Elder was stunned. What, Yao Yao and Xiao Shu? Who captured Yao Yao and Xiao Shu? You know me? You know the Palace of Darkness? Grand Elder, this person is Lin Yi, the Elder in black said quickly. As for Yao Yao and Shu, could it be Meng Yao and Yushu? The two in the car were Meng Yao and Yushu? How was this possible? One of them was the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline? Lin Yi? The Grand Elder frowned, not expecting to meet Lin Yi here. She'd worn out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find him by chance. She was just about to kill Lin Yi when Lin Yi came to her on his own, saving her a lot of effort, but something wasn't right. The Grand Elder suddenly remembered that Lin Yi was here for the two girls in the car? Could it be that Lin Yi knew them? Yao Yao? Could it be Yao Yao was Meng Yao? The Grand Elder guessed what the Elder in black guessed as well. She wasn't stupid either. Who else would be close to Lin Yi other than Yao Yao? And so, the Grand Elder wanted to kill Lin Yi, but decided against it after some thought. If Yao Yao really was Meng Yao, wouldn't she be the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline she was looking for? It wouldn't be good for her to kill Lin Yi then, since Meng Yao and Lin Yi had a special relationship. If she killed Lin Yi now, would Meng Yao retaliate? But even so, the Grand Elder didn't think much of Lin Yi. After all, Yuan Er's cowardly personality made the Grand Elder feel that even inheritors had to listen to her. If she wanted to kill Lin Yi, Meng Yao wouldn't dare say a word. But the Grand Elder was a little puzzled. How did Meng Yao become the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline? When Meng Yao was born, the Grand Elder had checked. The Dark Phoenix bloodline in Meng Yao's body was pitiful, and it was impossible for her to accept the inheritance. It wasn't pure either, but what she felt now was an extremely pure Dark Phoenix bloodline, even purer than Yuan Er's. An inheritor of this bloodline would be able to accept the inheritance once they returned to the Palace of Darkness. As a result, the Grand Elder wasn't sure if it was Meng Yao. Could it be the girl beside Meng Yao? After all, the Grand Elder saw Dongfang Cha knock the two girls out and put them in the car, but she couldn't see who was in the car because she was too far away. She didn't want to waste time with Lin Yi anymore. She waved her hand. It wasn't me who attacked them, I saved them. If you don't believe me, look at the trunk. Lin Yi paused for a moment, but then he smelled the scent of blood and saw a pool of blood not far from him. But Lin Yi was even more puzzled. Didn't the Palace of Darkness have a grudge against him? Why did they help Meng Yao and Yushu? Could it be that they didn't know and were just helping out? But as far as Lin Yi knew, the people of the Dark Palace were all arrogant bullies. How could they be chivalrous? If Lin Yi hadn't seen the corpse in the trunk, he wouldn't have believed the Grand Elder's words. But the person in the car had clearly died not too long ago. As a doctor, Lin Yi could easily tell that this wasn't some random corpse that the Grand Elder had pulled out and made up. Who's this? Lin Yi pointed at the corpse in the trunk. Ancient Dongfang clan, Dongfang Cha. You don't need to ask about this, it won't do you any good. The Great Elder said proudly as if it was a glorious thing to kill an elder of the ancient era. Someone from the Dongfang clan? Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. This Dongfang clan couldn't be that unlucky, could they? One died in the Heavenly Elixir sex trial, one was killed by him in the Cultivator Trade Association, and now another was killed by the Grand Elder of the Palace of Darkness. How unlucky! Chapter 3085. Why would people from the ancient Dongfang house appear in Donghai Industry University's campus? Could it be that the Dongfang house knew that he was the one who killed Dongfang Jian, and so they sent another elder to capture Meng Yao and Yushu to avenge Dongfang Jian's death? But as logical as it seemed, it didn't make any sense at all. Even if it was the Dongfang house, why didn't they just come after him? Wasn't it pointless to go after Meng Yao and Yushu? Nothing, I think they're going to give them to someone. The great elder snorted and said, if I hadn't seen it, I reckon that both of them would have lost their virginity. Linny paused. If that was the case, then the Dongfang house probably wasn't after him. What happened today was probably random. The person in the car is Meng Yao? The grand elder asked coldly, having guessed what Lin Yi was up to. What do you want? Lin Yi didn't answer the question. The grand elder looked at Lin Yi before opening the car door to see Meng Yao and Yushu in the back seat. The grand elder recognized the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix's bloodline right away, and quickly carried Meng Yao out of the car before turning to Lin Yi. I'll be taking this person with me. I'm bringing her back to the Palace of Darkness for training. You're taking her away? Lin Yi frowned. What right do you have to take her away? She's the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline of the Dark Palace, the one I've been looking for. Naturally, I'm taking her away so that she can accept the inheritance and become a master. The Grand Elder turned to Lin. Is she Meng Yao or Yushu? Grand Elder, she's Meng Yao. Lin Yi didn't say anything, but the black-clothed elder spoke up first, his face full of shock. Thank goodness he didn't hurt Meng Yao the last time he came looking for trouble with Lin. She was the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, after all. Even if he had 10 heads, it wouldn't be enough for the Grand Elder to chop them off. Thinking of this, he broke out in a cold sweat. Meow? Sure enough. The Grand Elder was also very surprised, but he didn't show it on the surface, but a storm was set off in his heart. Luckily, he came here personally and didn't let Zhao Qibing bring his men to kill Meng Yao. If he did, she'd regret it forever. Supreme Elder? You're the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace? Lin Yi looked at the Sky-class late-phase Peak Master in front of him, his mind racing. It seemed like she was here on behalf of the Dark Palace to find an inheritor, but when she saw him, she wanted to teach him a lesson or kill him, but stopped when she heard Meng Yao's name. That's right, Lin Yi, young one. Since I've found an inheritor, and the inheritor is Meng Yao, I'll let you go this time, but if I see you again, I won't go easy on you. The Grand Elder had already killed a Sky-class early-phase master today, and didn't want to kill anyone else, so she let Lin Yi go for now. Lin Yi paused, looking at the Grand Elder strangely. This Grand Elder didn't seem to see the situation clearly, did she? Normally, ancient sects would ask for inheritors to train with them, but she wanted to take Meng Yao to the Dark Palace and kill him at the same time. Even someone as strong as Bingtang didn't dare to say that she wanted to kill Lin Yi. Did this Grand Elder not see the reality? With that thought, Lin Yi couldn't help but ask, I say, Grand Elder, are you so sure that Meng Yao will go with you? She won't go with me? Why won't she go with me? I can make her a supreme master, the dream of so many people, wanting to be a disciple of our Dark Palace, and she'll be the master of our Dark Palace. The Grand Elder said matter-of-factly, besides, look at Zhao Qibing, he's so happy and excited after joining our Dark Palace. Ahem. Lin Yi was speechless. This Grand Elder was too narcissistic, wasn't she? Did she think that everyone wanted to join the Dark Palace? Lin Yi curled his lips and snorted, why don't you wake her up and ask her if she's willing to go with you? Of course, that's for sure. The Grand Elder said confidently as she massaged the acupoints on Meng Yao's neck and turned to Lin Yi, I'll let you see if she's willing to go with me now. Meng Yao slowly woke up, but when she woke up, she didn't expect to be in the arms of an old woman. She subconsciously took 2 steps back and looked at the old woman in fear. For you, I'm the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace. Meng Yao, I have great news for you. You've been chosen as the inheritor of our Dark Palace. And after you join us, you'll be the master of our Dark Palace. The Grand Elder said, how is it? Happy, right? Excited? Dark Palace? Meng Yao was on high alert. One had to know that this was Lin Yi's sect, and the people in the Dark Palace didn't seem to be kind, wanting to kill Lin Yi for no reason. So, Meng Yao was very against it. Stay away from me, I won't join the Dark Palace, and I don't want to be the master of the Dark Palace, and I don't want to be the inheritor. From Meng Yao's point of view, the master of the Dark Palace, inheritor, as long as it was a part of the Dark Palace, it wasn't realistic. There must be some kind of conspiracy behind all this. Wah! The Grand Elder's eyes widened, not expecting Meng Yao to reject her. As far as she was concerned, there was no reason for that. Everyone was crying and begging to join the Dark Palace, an ancient sect. Plus, Meng Yao would be the palace master as soon as she joined. How glorious was that? But Meng Yao rejected it? How was that possible? The Grand Elder's face was very ugly. Meng Yao, you need to think this through. Don't you want to be a master? That's a master of the world. If you accept the inheritance, it won't be a dream for you to have strength like mine. It seems like you know about practitioners, but do you know that I'm a sky class late phase peak? Chapter 3086. So, no matter how good the conditions of the Dark Palace were, Meng Yao wouldn't join them so easily. Ah, Lin Yi, you're here? Meng Yao noticed Lin Yi and said happily, Lin Yi, these people are from the Dark Palace. Although they didn't capture me and Shu, they're not good people either. Let's go ignore them. Meng Yao, on the other hand, understood what the Grand Elder was saying. The inheritor would have the strength of a sky-class late-phase peak. To be honest, Meng Yao was tempted, but the Dark Palace was Lin Yi's enemy. Without Lin Yi's approval, Meng Yao would never join them. Meng Yao was gaining strength for Lin Yi's sake. She didn't want the gap between her and Lin Yi to be too big. She didn't want to bring trouble to Lin Yi when Lin Yi went out. So, how could Meng Yao make Lin Yi unhappy just because she gained strength? So Meng Yao purposely said that after one look. From her point of view, the Grand Elder had a favor to ask of her, so she wouldn't make a move. You dare reject me? The Grand Elder looked at Meng Yao in disbelief, as if he'd heard the funniest joke in the world. Impossible. Did he hear it wrong? Lin Yi, Yushu's still in the car. Let's go back. Meng Yao ignored the Grand Elder and said, Do. The Grand Elder was furious. She looked at Meng Yao and said darkly, If you dare leave, fine, I'll kill Lin. If you kill Lin Yi, I'll never go with you to the Dark Palace. Even if you capture me, I don't know the arts. I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. Meng Yao knew how to threaten as well. It wasn't that she didn't want to go to the Palace of Darkness at all, but if she wanted to go, she needed to have enough bargaining chips. Do. The Grand Elder didn't expect Meng Yao to say that. Yi Wan's submissive attitude made her think that the heir of the Dark Palace would listen to her and do whatever she said, but Meng Yao had completely overturned her impression of her. The Grand Elder wanted to call Meng Yao a little bitch, but she swallowed her words back. She didn't dare offend Meng Yao now. Looking at the determined look on Meng Yao's face, it seemed like she would really do it. If what Meng Yao said was true, then the Grand Elder wouldn't dare curse at them anymore. What about me? You're the one begging me, do you understand the situation? The Miss looked at the Great Elder and said coldly, Who cares about your Dark Knight Palace? What kind of attitude was that? Lin Yi, let's go. Ignore this old lady. All right. Lin Yi nodded and carried Shu out of the car, only to realize that Shu had woken up on her own. This girl didn't make a sound in the car, so she was eavesdropping. Shu, you woke up and didn't get out of the car. You made us worry. Oh, shield bro, Shu thinks that this old lady is too annoying. She's asking for help and yet she's acting so arrogant. Is she stupid? Yushu looked at the Grand Elder and said with disdain. What did you call me? Old lady? Old lady? The Grand Elder's chest heaved up and down as she breathed heavily. She was clearly pissed. After all, the Grand Elder had never been bullied like this before. As far as she was concerned, Yi Wan should be obedient, but when it came to Meng Yao, why wasn't she obedient? Not only was she not obedient, she even dared to talk back and threaten her. The Grand Elder was called an old lady twice today. The first time, she killed the person who called her an old lady. The second time, she didn't dare do it again. Meng Yao's words were very clear. She didn't care about the Dark Palace in the first place. If you want to use force, then fine. Even if you bring her back, she won't listen to you. Let's see what you can do. But Meng Yao and Yushu didn't care at all as they turned to leave with Lin. The Supreme Elder finally became anxious and shouted, "Wait a minute. Is there anything else?" Lin found it funny. This Grand Elder really thought too highly of himself. Now look at him, wasn't he? She defended Meng Yao, and the miss was very vengeful. "Meng Yao, how can you join our dark palace?" The Grand Elder felt a deep sense of defeat. Fortunately, she was shameless. Face and the like were all floating clouds to her. Since the hard way didn't work, she'd use the soft way. As long as it was beneficial to the dark palace, she'd lower herself to do it. "I'll think about it, but I don't want to go now," Meng Yao said without turning back. Dark palace? Meng Yao wanted to gain strength, but she wouldn't do anything rash. The Grand Elder's words today had too much of an impact on her. She needed to go back and digest it. But the Grand Elder wasn't willing, but he still nodded in agreement. He had no choice. Meng Yao and Yi Wan were completely different. Yi Wan was submissive, while Meng Yao was resistant. The Grand Elder had to change his view of things. "Elder Black, what do you think we should do now?" The Grand Elder's face was extremely ugly as she watched Meng Yao, Yushu, and Lin Yi leave. According to her usual personality, she would have taken Meng Yao away, but now, she was afraid that it would be useless. Meng Yao's tone was very resolute, and it was clear that she couldn't do anything about it if she didn't want to. Although the Grand Elder could torture Meng Yao, she didn't dare gamble. What if Meng Yao couldn't handle the torture and died? Wouldn't the Dark Palace be done for then? One had to know that Meng Yao was the Dark Palace's last hope. If something were to happen to her, then the Dark Palace's name would be erased from the ancient world. This Meng Yao doesn't budge. She's completely different from Yi Weiner. The black-clothed elder frowned as well. "You're marked by the company you keep. You're just like Lin." "I'm not talking about that. I'm asking you what to do." The Grand Elder humphed coldly. "I know you're talking nonsense, but I want to know how Meng Yao can come back with us." Chapter 3087. "Yes, you're right. How about this? Let's go back to the hotel first and see how we can get Meng Yao to give in." The Grand Elder nodded. That was how she was. She'd give in if someone tried to be tough. She wanted Meng Yao to go to the Palace of Darkness, and if she couldn't use force, she'd have to be soft. As a result, Yi Wan had been too soft all this time. Although she'd failed in the end, if she'd told the Grand Elder that she wouldn't train if he didn't let her see Meng Yao and Peng Zhan, or if he didn't send people to protect Meng Yao, she wouldn't train either. That way, the Grand Elder would have to do as she said in order to let her train peacefully. But Yi Wan never thought about threatening the Grand Elder, and that was why the Grand Elder was so arrogant. But now, the mother couldn't threaten the Grand Elder, and the daughter, the powerless Meng Yao, was the one threatening the Grand Elder. One had to say this was quite the reverse. The car was driven away by the black-clothed elder. After all, there was still a dead person in the car. This was the common world, and they had to deal with it. Although the Grand Elder had killed the person, the body still had to be taken back by House Dongfeng. They weren't in the right, but the person was dead, and they had to give them some face. This was an ancient rule after all. If you killed someone, the body had to be returned. Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu were on the way back. Meng Yao had a frown on her face the whole time, thinking about the Palace of Darkness. Shu, on the other hand, didn't seem to mind at all. She giggled, "Yao Yao, you're going to become an inheritor. That's amazing. You'll be able to help shield bro, Shu. You seem happy that I'm leaving?" Meng Yao didn't know if she should laugh or cry at Yushu's words. She glared at her. "Do you know that you'll have no one to accompany you if I leave?" "It's better if you leave first than me." Yushu mumbled softly. "What are you talking about?" Meng Yao didn't hear it clearly, and assumed that Yushu was complaining about what she'd said. "I know I'll get stronger after I leave, but haven't you ever thought about it? If I leave, won't I be the same as Xiao Xiao? I want to see you guys again. It's so difficult." "Yeah, if there's a choice, who would want to leave?" "Looks like that old woman wants Yao Yao to go no matter what," Yushu said as she looked at Lin Yi. Lin Yi, naturally, knew what Yushu was talking about. Yushu was an inheritor herself, But Yao Yao didn't know that one day, she would leave the villa. Saying goodbye to herself, saying goodbye to Yao Yao, starting her new life. But Yushu was afraid that Meng Yao would be sad if she knew. That was why she hadn't told Yushu. But if Meng Yao left first, then Yushu's heart would. Moreover, they were both legatees, so they could take care of each other. Let's go back. Let's talk about it. Meng Yao said, a little lost. Things had developed too abruptly, and she didn't know what to do. Lin Yi nodded. Although the Dark Palace and Lin Yi had some conflicts, Lin Yi knew that an ancient sect wouldn't give up after finding an inheritor. If he didn't agree, then Meng Yao would be in a lot of trouble in the future. In the beginning, these ancient sects might be patient enough to invite you, beg you, but later on, if you still didn't know what's good for you, then they might threaten you. To tell the truth, Lin Yi had been living with the miss for a long time now. It was 3 months away from a year. Time flew by, and if the miss were to leave suddenly, Lin Yi's heart would feel empty. He wouldn't be used to it. The three had their own thoughts as they walked to the school's parking lot. Lin Yi got in the car, and Meng Yao and Yushu followed. Han Xiaoqiao was a little surprised why Lin Yi came to school today. In the past, Meng Yao or Wu Chintian would come to pick them up, and Lin Yi rarely came to school himself. Even a bookworm like Han Xiaoqiao felt that the atmosphere wasn't right after getting in the car, but he didn't know what was going on. Xiaoqiao, how's your sister? Lin Yi hadn't seen Han Jingjing in a long time. She only appeared once when he was injured, and she hadn't shown up for a long time after that. It made him miss her quite a bit. She's fine. Her door is closed, and she doesn't talk to me, but she's probably researching something, right? Han Xiaoqiao said after some thought. Lin Yi nodded. When is your sister coming out? Tell her we miss her a lot. Tell her to come to my villa for a while. Meng Yao and Han Jingjing had a good relationship, and Meng Yao had to say goodbye to Han Jingjing when she was leaving. Although they hadn't discussed it yet, in Lin Yi's heart he was sure that Meng Yao would leave, and it was only a matter of time. Okay. Han Xiaoqiao nodded, indicating that he understood. Then he started reading in the car. This bookworm, it was only a few minutes' drive from school to home, and he still wanted to read. He was going crazy. Soon, the car returned to the villa. Han Xiaoqiao went back to his home, and Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu went back to the villa. Lin Yi, Yao Yao, Shu, you're back. Su Shihan had been staying in the villa for the past 2 days, and she didn't dare to go out casually. At least, before the problem was solved, she didn't dare to go out easily. Han, don't you have work today? Lin Yi was a bit surprised. Su Shihan was really free now, staying at home every day as if she had nothing to do. I wanted to ask you to go buy something with me, but you seem to be busy every day, so I didn't want to disturb you. Su Shihan saw that although Lin Yi was at home, she didn't know what he was doing in his room, so she didn't want to disturb him. Chapter 3088. There was also the Fuxi needles. Although Lin Yi was familiar with it now, its power was still a bit lacking. It could be said that even with this divine weapon in hand, it wasn't as powerful as the raging fire Bagua Palm. Divine weapons weren't as powerful as martial arts techniques. This was impossible for other Sky Class masters, but it was true for Lin. This was because the Fuxi needles couldn't be used beyond one's level. When Lin Yi was at the early phase of Sky Class, he naturally couldn't unleash the power of the needles at the mid-phase of Sky Class, but the raging fire Bagua Palm was no problem. So, to Lin Yi, the Fuxi needles were a bit useless. Unless Lin Yi could find a way to use it beyond his level, the needles could only be used against Sky Class early phase masters. It was also because of this that Lin Yi was looking forward to forging a Sky Class weapon even more, and so he practiced the forging fire non-stop every day, neglecting Shihan. Su Shihan didn't go to Lin Yi, so Lin Yi didn't take the initiative to ask. In the end, Su Shihan didn't want to disturb him. How about I go with you tomorrow? Lin Yi smiled bitterly, feeling a bit embarrassed. No need, it's fine. I already told Wang Sis to buy the things. Su Shihan smiled. If there's nothing important, I'll tell Wang Sis to bring the work to the villa. Just don't feel annoyed. I'll be practicing my singing at home these few days. Of course not. That's good. Yao Yao and Shu will be the first audience for your new song. Lin Yi smiled. If it was any other day, Meng Yao would be very happy. Her idol was singing a new song in her house. How exciting was it to be the first fan to hear Su Shihan's new song. But now, Meng Yao's mind was filled with the palace of darkness. Or not go. Meng Yao couldn't decide. Yao Yao, Shu, you guys seem to have something on your mind? Su Shihan could tell that Meng Yao and Yushu were in low spirits today. He didn't say much. Is it because I'm in the villa that I'm affecting your daily life? That's not it. Meng Yao shook her head. Sister Shihan, actually, it's okay to tell you about this. Today, an ancient sect found me and asked me to be the heir and palace master of the sect. But I don't know if I can go. Shihan paused. She knew about Xiao Xiao's situation, although it was not very detailed. But he also understood. Becoming an inheritor meant that he had to stay in someone else's sect. He wouldn't be able to see Lin Yi and Yushu so often. However, Su Shihan was surprised. Xiao Xiao was the inheritor, and Tang Yun was the inheritor. Meng Yao too? How many inheritors were there in total? Why did they all gather around Lin Yi? Was this a coincidence, or was it God's will? Actually, what Shihan didn't know was that all of this had been predicted by someone 10 years ago. Lin Yi's mission back then had a deeper meaning, but Lin Yi didn't know about it. Shihan was stunned, but it was difficult for her to give any advice on this kind of thing. After all, she didn't understand these things. She only knew about practitioners from Lin Yi. Although Shihan was the illegitimate daughter of an ancient sect, she had never come into contact with these things. Yao Yao, I really can't help you with this kind of thing. I can't give you any advice, but what did Lin Yi say? Yao Yao, don't blame me for telling you the truth. The matter of ancient sects looking for inheritors is led by Xianxin ancestor of 5 Elements sect. Not to mention me, even Teacher Bai can't stop it. Once an ancient sect finds an inheritor who agrees with their own sect, it's like a wolf seeing a lamb, or even worse. So, I'm afraid it's impossible to refuse this matter. Lin Yi said, in my opinion, whether to go or not is just a matter of time and benefits. The Dark Palace, if they can give Yao Yao enough benefits, then there's no harm in going. If not, to be honest, I really can't do anything to a peak late phase heaven class master. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. The opponents were getting stronger and stronger. Although Lin Yi was also a heaven class master, the gap between them was still huge. Especially after reaching heaven class, the advantage of Lin Yi's raging fire Bagua Palm was not as obvious. Because of the lack of pure qi, even if Lin Yi had the power, he couldn't use it. So Lin Yi desired the 3rd stage of the art of dragon mastery. It could recover his strength faster, and he longed for a heaven-class weapon. As a result, Lin Yi forgot to eat and sleep every day. Naturally, he couldn't care about Su Shihan. But when he remembered that Lin Yi was Su Shihan's bodyguard, Lin Yi couldn't stop blushing. He really wasn't a good bodyguard. I know. Meng Yao nodded and sighed. Lin Yi, actually, even if you don't say it, I understand. The Grand Elder, a peak late phase heaven class master, has already come out. I have to go with her. Today, I was able to put on an act with her because she's desperate for talent. But if I really make her lose her patience, the consequences will be severe. Of course, with the Grand Elder's personality, it wasn't strange for her to do things like threaten and bribe. From how Lin Yi saw it, the people from the Dark Palace were all shameless. There was a problem during the Heaven Elixir sex trial, and they still wanted to settle it after the fact. Then what you're saying is... Lin Yi asked. I actually don't want to go, but when I think about how I can become stronger after I leave, and how I won't be a burden to you every time you go out, I want to go again. Meng Yao sighed softly. The miss had revealed her heart for the first time. But I don't know what my fate will be after I go. Will I be like Xiao Xiao, going to do something dangerous? Maybe? Lin Yi nodded after some thought. He didn't want to lie to the miss. After all, logically speaking, as long as Xiao Xiao was doing something dangerous, it was the same for Xiao Xiao, it was the same for Yushu, it was the same for Meng Yao. That was why Lin Yi said that. Chapter 3089. So you've decided to go? Lin Yi said after a sigh. Yeah. Meng Yao nodded. But I can't agree too quickly, otherwise, I'll be like Xiao Xiao with no freedom when I go to the Palace of Darkness. I need to be able to come back and see you guys more often. Of course you'll have to tell them that. Lin Yi nodded. Meng Yao going to the Dark Palace was different from Xiao Xiao. She didn't have a goal, unlike Xiao Xiao who wanted to live. Meng Yao should have more freedom than Xiao Xiao. Meng Yao had decided to leave, but the atmosphere in the villa didn't lighten up. Everyone was still in a gloomy mood, and Meng Yao didn't have much of an appetite during dinner. She only ate 2 mouthfuls before putting down the bowl in her hands. Yao Yao, don't be sad, it'll be fine. Maybe one day Shu will become an inheritor too, and I'll go accompany you. We'll all be shield bros, shield girls, and together with Xiao Xiao, we'll be sky-class fighters. Let's see who dares mess with us then. We'll sweep through the world of practitioners together. Yushu said. You'll become an inheritor too? Meng Yao, naturally, didn't believe Yushu. This thing requires luck and luck. You don't have the Dark Phoenix bloodline, how are you going to go? I can go to other sects, like ask Bai Yun if they need inheritors. I'm a fire elemental, maybe they'll take me in. Yushu said. Alright Shu, I know you're comforting me, but it's nothing. It's fine as long as you've thought it through. Meng Yao said. It'll come. I can't hide even if I want to, I'll be fine. Okay, that's good. Yushu nodded. Yeah. Aren't you going to tell Uncle Chu? Lin Yi suddenly thought of Peng Yao was going to the Palace of Darkness. Should he inform Peng Zhan? Of course I have to, I'll call Dad right now. Meng Yao had decided to follow the Grand Elder to the Dark Palace to become an inheritor. Of course, he had to give Peng Zhan a call. Lin Yi didn't have much appetite today. He looked at the people around him leaving one by one. He felt sad but smiled. Now it was Yao Yao, Xiao Shu and little Jiao. They were all inheritors. There was also Guanix and Hover. Lin Yi really couldn't stop them. Even if Lin Yi had the power to flatten the ancient sects, it was impossible for him to do so. With the strength to kill Patriarch Xianchen, it was impossible for Lin Yi to stop this. That was Boss Bai's dream. Returning the 5 Elements sect to the level of the ancient times had always been Boss Bai's pursuit. Lin Yi was now a direct disciple of the 5 Elements sect. Lin Yi also had to fight for the cause of the 5 Elements sect. Therefore, what Lin Yi could do was to improve his strength as soon as possible. When the big plan came, he would have enough strength to protect Xiao Xiao and the others. This was what Lin Yi should do. So, this was also why Lin Yi didn't strongly oppose Meng Yao going to the Dark Palace. Meng Yao had already called Peng Zhan. Peng Zhan was having dinner with his business partners. He was surprised to receive a call this late. Yao Yao, what's up? Dad, are you busy? Can you come to the villa for a while? Meng Yao hesitated and said firmly. Yao Yao, I'm having dinner with a client. Is your business important? Can I go tomorrow? Peng Zhan paused and asked. It's very important, can you reject it? Meng Yao didn't know if the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace would come looking for her again tomorrow. Perhaps tonight would be the last night Meng Yao would be staying in the villa. Alright, I'll go now. Peng Zhan could tell that Meng Yao's tone wasn't right. He agreed immediately. After hanging up, Peng Zhan apologized to the customer, but the customer wasn't displeased. He didn't dare to be displeased either, since Peng Zhan was the chairman of Donghai's merchant guild, and the hidden house Zhao had been destroyed. Donghai was now under the control of the hidden house Han, and with the support of the hidden house Han, Peng Zhan's business was flourishing. If it weren't for the huge amount of money he'd be getting, Peng Zhan's business would have been much bigger than it was right now. Of course, Peng Zhan never regretted giving the money to Lin. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi was their family's savior. Without Lin Yi, the company would have long been taken over by Gubang and the others, and even Yao Yao's life would have been lost. After the dinner, Peng Zhan got into Faubert's car and rushed to Lin Yi's villa. Meng Yao's mood wasn't quite right, so Peng Zhan decided to call Lin Yi first, planning to ask Lin Yi what happened to Meng Yao at the villa. Uncle Chu? Lin Yi was a little surprised when he received the call. He didn't think that Peng Zhan would call him so soon after Meng Yao's call. It's me. I wanted to ask you, is Yao Yao in some kind of trouble? Did you ask me to come over now? Peng Zhan let out a breath of relief when he saw that Lin Yi had picked up the phone. It would have been a big problem if Lin Yi hadn't picked up the phone. Now that Lin Yi was with Meng Yao, it shouldn't be a big problem. Uncle Chu, it's a little complicated. Let's talk about it when you're here? Lin Yi couldn't explain it clearly on the phone. Peng Zhan paused, not expecting Lin Yi to say something like that. He didn't press the matter further. All right, I'll come over now. Lin Yi shrugged at Meng Yao after hanging up. Yao Yao, Uncle Chu's calling. He seems worried. Yeah, Daddy's always worried about me. I wonder if he'll be able to accept it now that I'm leaving. Meng Yao sighed worriedly. Mom left us when we were young. Now that I'm leaving, I wonder if Daddy will be lonely. Lin Yi had always been curious about where Meng Yao's mother had gone. He thought that she'd passed away, but the miss scolded him for it. Clearly, it was a misunderstanding. But even now, Lin Yi didn't know where Meng Yao's mother was. Right, Yao Yao, where did your mom go? Lin asked. My mom? I don't know. Daddy didn't tell me. He only said that she went to a faraway place and won't be back for a long time. Meng Yao shook her head, a trace of confusion flashing in her eyes. Chapter 3090. Lin Yi nodded. It seemed like the miss really didn't know anything. She wouldn't have been tricked by Pin Liang otherwise. Not long after, the sound of a car could be heard outside the villa. Peng Zhan was probably here. As expected, the doorbell rang, and Lin Yi opened the door to see a sweaty Peng Zhan rushing in. Yao Yao, what's going on? Let's talk inside. Lin Yi gestured for Peng Zhan to enter the living room. Yeah. Peng Zhan nodded and walked quickly into the living room. Can you tell me now? Actually, Uncle Chu, it all started this afternoon. Meng Yao had planned to be honest with Peng Zhan anyways, so Lin Yi didn't hide anything. He told Peng Zhan everything from the Dongfang house's Dongfang Cha kidnapping Meng Yao and Yushu, to the Grand Elder and black-clothed Elder of the Dark Palace coming to their aid, to Lin Yi's arrival. Peng Zhan listened to Lin Yi say that Meng Yao and Yushu met people from the Dark Palace in the afternoon, and even saved them. His face changed a little, but he still asked, and then? Now, this is the most important thing. Yao Yao is the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. Lin Yi said. The Grand Elder of the Dark Palace wants to take her away, bring her back to the Dark Palace to train. What? The Grand Elder wants to take Yao Yao to the Dark Palace? How can that be? Peng Zhan stood up, agitated, his emotions incomparable. Why does she want to take Yao Yao away again? Why? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Uncle Chu, don't be angry. These ancient sects don't have reason to reason with them. It was the same reason when Xiao Xiao was forced to stay in the Ice Palace. Yeah. Peng Zhan realized his mistake as well. Sighing slightly, he sat back on the sofa, but his expression was unusually ugly. The Palace of Darkness? It's the Palace of Darkness again. If our benefactor was still here, they wouldn't dare to do this. Benefactor? What do you mean? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. It's nothing. I lost my composure, Peng Zhan said, surprised. He didn't dare talk about what happened back then, not even to Meng Yao and Faubert. But today, when he heard that the Dark Palace was going to take Meng Yao away, he lost his composure and spoke his mind. Nothing? Daddy, are you hiding something from us? You knew about the Dark Palace? Meng Yao heard what Peng Zhan said as well. He immediately asked suspiciously. At this moment, Peng Zhan was struggling internally. Should he tell Meng Yao that his wife, Yao Yao's mother, was in the Palace of Darkness? However, Peng Zhan made up his mind after struggling for a long time. He didn't want to hide it anymore, he wanted to tell the truth. After all, even if Meng Yao was in the Palace of Darkness, she still needed to know about these things. So, Peng Zhan took a deep breath. Yao Yao, since you asked, I'll tell you everything. Didn't you always ask me where your mother went, what she did? Today, I'll tell you everything. My mother? Meng Yao's breathing quickened, but then her heart skipped a beat. My mother? Could it be related to the Palace of Darkness? What's going on? That's right, Yao Yao, your guess is correct. Your mother is the Palace Master of the Palace of Darkness. Peng Zhan nodded and said word by word. Meng Yao guessed that her mother leaving back then had something to do with the Palace of Darkness, but she never would have thought that her mother was the palace master of the Palace of Darkness. How was that possible? Wasn't the Palace of Darkness Lin Yi's enemy? Why would her mother send someone to go against Lin Yi? If that was the case, could it be that the Grand Elder was sent by her mother? Meng Yao couldn't be blamed for thinking like that. After all, as far as she knew, the palace master was the highest authority in a sect. Wasn't that the same for the ice palace she knew? Bingtang was the strongest existence in the ice palace, and her words carried weight. Even though there were supreme elders in the Snow Valley, they still respected Xue Li's opinion. Xue Li was also involved in the management of the Snow Valley. So, Meng Yao felt that since her mother was the palace master of darkness, then all of this was planned by her mother? Did her mother not like her anymore? Why would she do something to her own daughter? At that thought, Meng Yao felt sad. Doesn't want us anymore? Yao Yao, it seems like you're thinking too much. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly, shaking his head. It's not that your mother doesn't want us anymore, but she was forced to leave. Besides, your mother may be the palace master of darkness, but she doesn't have any actual power. The Grand Elder is in charge of the entire Palace of Darkness. Forced to leave? The Grand Elder is in charge? Meng Yao paused, thinking of something. Could it be that Mom is an inheritor too? She was taken by the Grand Elder to the Palace of Darkness? That's right. Peng Zhan nodded. It's a long story. I'll tell you all in detail. Back then, Wan O was the young palace master of Darkness Palace, but her Dark Phoenix bloodline had gone through many generations, and it wasn't very pure anymore. It was very difficult for someone with that bloodline to accept an inheritance and become an inheritor. According to the calculations of the 5-element school, there were still at least 20 years before the Heavenly Stage Island project would start. Therefore, the Dark Palace decided to let Yi Wan marry the young master of the Heavenly Elixir School, Tianji Xing, who was also the father of Tianji Xing. The Sky Elixir School had a secret art. Of course, it was the 5-element school's secret art. They could use certain methods to gather all the Dark Phoenix bloodline in Wan Er's body into the fetus, and that way, the fetus would have the complete Dark Phoenix bloodline in the mother's womb. This way, although the Dark Phoenix bloodline in Yi Wan Er's body was not pure, her child would have an extremely pure Dark Phoenix bloodline. Although it would not be as pure as the ancestors, at least in terms of receiving the inheritance, there would be no problem at all. The Palace of Darkness was the same as the Yellow Earth High Sect, having inheritors through bloodline. It wasn't like the other inheritors of the fire, water, mist, ice, or wood elements, as long as they had a pure body of the same element. Chapter 3091. Of course, pure metal and earth elements might be able to accept the inheritance, but the Dark Palace and the Yellow Soil sect couldn't do it. These two sects could only produce a single bloodline inheritor. But the young Yi Wan, who didn't want to marry the young master of the Sky Elixir sect, Tianji Xing, and so, just like in novels and TV shows, she ran away. On the way, the young Yi Wan met the handsome Chu Pingzhan, and the two fell in love. They even tasted the forbidden fruit, and it was at this time that Yi Wan got pregnant with Chu Meng Yao. But the truth couldn't be contained, and the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace activated the Dark Phoenix Stone. The Yi Waner in front of him had already lost her virginity, and her blood had become even more impure. Logically speaking, the Dark Phoenix Stone shouldn't be able to find her, but the Grand Elder had sacrificed his strength and gathered many masters to forcefully activate the Dark Phoenix Stone to find Yi Wan and Peng Zhan, who had already escaped abroad. Originally, Yi Waner and Chu Pingzhan were certain that they would die this time, but they didn't think that they would meet a benefactor who would help them. This was an extremely powerful person, Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang used his terrifying strength to make the Grand Elder compromise and let Yi Wan and Chu Pingzhan go. He didn't even dare let out a fart and left with his tail between his legs. He didn't forget to please Mr. Yang when he left. But Mr. Yang suddenly disappeared and never appeared again. The Grand Elder, because of Mr. Yang's disappearance, once again set his sights on Yi Wan and forcefully brought her back to the Dark Palace, forcing her to continue trying to accept the inheritance. However, because Mr. Yang's power was too great, it left a psychological shadow in the Supreme Elder. When he took Yuan away, Yuan didn't even have a chance to escape. When he took Yuan away, he didn't dare to do anything to Chu Pingzhan and Chu Mengyao. But no matter how powerful a person was, after disappearing for more than 10 years, the shadow in the Grand Elder's heart slowly dissipated. As far as he was concerned, that person was most likely dead, and so he wanted to kill Chu Pingzhan and Chu Mengyao again. It had been a secret Pingzhan kept to himself all these years. He didn't tell Mengyao because the ancient sects were far away from the people of the common world. Far, far away, an existence that could only be looked up to. Even if Lin Yi was very powerful and could go against the aristocratic families and the hidden aristocratic families, he could not go against the ancient sections. It was also because Lin Yi had started stepping into the ancient sects recently, making friends with the disciples of the ancient sects, that Pengzhan decided to tell Mengyao and Lin Yi about the past. Otherwise, Pengzhan didn't have the guts to say it before, afraid that Mengyao or Lin Yi would do something irrational. After all, the Mr. Yang from back then had disappeared. Pengzhan's support was gone, and he was afraid as well. This meant that the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace had captured his mother. You want to catch me again? Mengyao couldn't help but be shocked and angry after hearing Pengzhan's story. This Grand Elder is too evil, taking my mother away and leaving you without a wife. You don't have a wife, and I don't have a mother. What a typical bully. Why didn't Mr. Yang come back to punish her? Yeah, I didn't think that the Dark Palace would come after you. Pengzhan smiled bitterly. If Mr. Yang was still here, she wouldn't dare take your mother away. She wouldn't even know how to get on his good side. So it looks like Mom must have failed the inheritance, and that's why she's coming after me? Mengyao nodded, not dumb. She understood the Dark Palace's intentions right away. That should be the case, but what I'm curious about is that there's no Dark Phoenix blood in your veins at all. There's only a very, very small part of it, almost negligible. It's not like the Elder didn't have her eyes on you back then, but she gave up after a thorough examination. How come you're here now? Pengzhan said, a little confused. Is that so? Mengyao was puzzled as well. If that was the case, then why would the Grand Elder come all the way here? Oh, Shield Bro, do you think Yao Yao's bloodline mutated after eating a Dark Phoenix? Yushu remembered an important thing. Lin Yi had once bought a black pheasant, but the man selling the pheasant insisted that it was a black phoenix. Could it be the Dark Phoenix? When did I eat a Dark Phoenix? Mengyao blinked, but her face changed. You guys are talking about that dream? And I ate a Dark Phoenix in the real world. That should be it. Lin Yi nodded. Now that I think about it, you said that you were in a dream, but it wasn't you, but someone else. A bunch of people called you Palace Master, and they fed you a Dark Phoenix. I'm guessing that it's some sort of memory inheritance. Memory inheritance? Mengyao didn't understand what Lin Yi was getting at. The place where you ate the Dark Phoenix is probably very close to the Dark Knight Palace. According to my guess, the first Dark Phoenix bloodline in the Dark Knight Palace was born from eating the Dark Phoenix, and that person might be your ancestor, Yao Yao. Lin Yi said, we have a Dark Phoenix in our hands, and you are related to your ancestor by blood. It's probably some kind of mysterious force that made you eat that Dark Phoenix. The memory of your ancestor eating the Dark Phoenix was also passed down to your brain. Holy shit, Shield Bro, you're almost as good as Shu now, amazing. Yushu said, impressed. Then it's very possible. Mengyao nodded. This also explains why the Grand Elder didn't care about me back then, but came to me now. That must be it. Lin Yi nodded. And now, it means that your bloodline is the same as your ancestor's bloodline, and it's very easy for this bloodline to receive the inheritance. Then what I don't understand is, if Mom is the inheritor, why hasn't she come to see me all these years? She didn't even call me. From the Grand Elder's attitude towards me, she didn't want to fall out with me, so Mom must have some status in the Palace of Darkness. Xiao Xiao is in the Ice Palace, and she can still talk to us. Mengyao asked, confused. Chapter 3092. Your mother's personality is that of a meek and cowardly type. Why would she fight with the Grand Elder for anything? Naturally, she would do whatever the Grand Elder said. Back then, the Grand Supreme Elder also used my safety and yours to threaten your mother, So your mother left with the Grand Supreme Elder. But Mom can totally say that if you threaten me again, I won't go, even if you kill me. Mingyao's personality was completely different from Yi Weiner's. The miss wasn't that easy to bully. If your mom was like you, then even if you don't see her, you'd call her often. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly. Right, Mom's in the Palace of Darkness right now. She must have failed the inheritance, that's why the Grand Elder came to find me. Since Mom's in the Palace of Darkness, then I can ask her to come back and stay with Dad, and I'll go to the Palace of Darkness. That way Dad won't be lonely. Mengyao didn't care if her mother was an elder or not, or if the Grand Elder still wanted her to stay in the Palace of Darkness. Since she thought of this, then she would do it. In fact, the Grand Elder didn't use Mingyao's mother as a threat because she didn't want to let Weiner leave. Weiner was a sky-class early phase after all, and to the weaker Palace of Darkness, it would be a great help. Although one had gotten into a fight with him for wanting to kill Peng Zhan and Mengyao, as long as Mengyao wasn't dead and went to the Palace of Darkness, Lin Yi believed that one would be more than happy to continue working for the Palace of Darkness. As for Lin Yi, the Grand Elder didn't dare kill him. She realized that Mingyao's personality was completely different from Weiner's. If she didn't like it, she'd threaten her and not go to the Palace of Darkness. This made the Grand Elder very helpless. Plus, the Grand Elder valued Mengyao far more than Yi Wan. Whether or not one could accept the inheritance was completely based on luck, but Mingyao's Dark Phoenix bloodline was so pure that it made people speechless. As long as Mengyao went to the Palace of Darkness, she'd be able to accept the inheritance without a doubt. So the Grand Elder thought it through. In order to make Mengyao happy, she'd go back to the Palace of Darkness and let Mengyao be the Vice Palace Master. Of course, if Mengyao really could accept the inheritance, then she'd even become the Grand Elder. The Great Elder was such a person. For the sake of the sect, he would do anything. He no longer had any face. As for Elderly, he'd give him some power as well, as long as Mengyao was happy to accept the inheritance. He'd be fine with anything, even handing over all of Elder Black's power. But the prerequisite was that Mengyao had to accept the inheritance willingly. Peng Zhan was a little excited after hearing Mingyao's words. Could Yi Wan come back? All these years, Peng Zhan had been hoping that Yi Wan would return to his side one day. Even in his dreams. And so, at this moment, Peng Zhan couldn't suppress his emotions anymore. He stood up from the sofa. Yao Yao. Your mom can come back? I think the Grand Elder will agree if I use this as a threat. Mengyao wasn't too sure herself. Mengyao wasn't sure, but at least it could be used as a threat. Whether or not the Grand Elder would let her go depended on her mood and attitude. Yao Yao, you're sacrificing yourself in exchange for your mother's return. I'd rather you didn't go. Peng Zhan calmed down after the excitement. He knew that this was an exchange for Mingyao's inheritance. Even if Mom doesn't come back, I'd still go. Mengyao smiled. Dad, since I'm leaving, why don't I fight for more benefits? If the Grand Elder heard this, she'd probably spit out blood. She tried so hard not to mention Yi Wan because she was afraid that Mengyao would want to switch people. Yi Wan was a sky-class early phase, a part of the Palace of Darkness power. She'd just leave like that? Uncle Chu, Yao Yao's right. Even if Aunt Yi doesn't come back, Yao Yao has to go. So instead of that, why not ask for more benefits? Lin Yi nodded. Alright, if that's the case, then Daddy thanks you. Peng Zhan was a little emotional. Yao Yao, I didn't think that in the end, you'd be the one to leave and your mom's back. When can we really reunite as a family? That'll depend on Shield Bro. When Shield Bro becomes a sky-class late phase peak, he'll sweep through the entire ancient world. Then, we'll be the #1 house in the world. Yushu said. At that time, the Grand Elder will probably come to lick Shield Bro's shoes. Shu, that's not what you're saying. Mengyao glared at Yushu. Don't say things like that. If the Grand Elder hears it, she'll want to kill Lin Yi again. Yushu knows. Isn't it just talking about it at home? Yushu nodded casually. Shu, no one will care about you after I'm gone. You have to listen to Lin Yi, understand? Don't always cause trouble for Lin Yi. Mengyao glanced at Shu. Although she was talking to her, there was a strong sense of reluctance in her eyes. After all, She and Shu had lived together for so many years, and now they were going to be separated. And don't worry, Yao Yao sis. I'm a good girl. Shu nodded solemnly, putting away the joking expression on her face. Meng Yao, however, couldn't help but smile at the last part. Looking at Meng Yao, Lin Yi's heart was filled with sadness. Originally, Lin Yi thought that the Miss and Shu would be the ones who would be with him forever. Even when he knew that Shu would be leaving, Lin Yi still felt that the Miss wouldn't be able to leave no matter what. He would live with her forever. Although they didn't hint or promise anything to each other, both of them knew that although they were friends, most of the time, their relationship had already exceeded that of ordinary friends. What did this mean? Every time Lin Yi came back from a trip, the Miss would be like a wife waiting for her husband to come back. Her greeting and gaze were calm, but it had become a habit. Did he like the Miss? He should like her. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't be living with her all the time. Chapter 3093. It was just that Lin Yi didn't realize it himself. But did the Miss like him? Lin Yi wasn't sure. Sometimes he was sure, but other times he wasn't sure. It was a very strange feeling, but since the Miss didn't say it, Lin Yi wouldn't break this warm relationship between them. Perhaps one day in the future, the two would break through friendship and become lovers, but they wouldn't be too surprised because they already had this feeling between them. It was just that now wasn't the time. Lin Yi, on the other hand, enjoyed the warmth and habit of being with the Mississippi. There wasn't the passion of love, just the simple care and concern for each other. But the appearance of the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace broke the peace between Lin Yi and the Mississippi. The Miss would leave and the dream would wake up. It's late, Dad, you should go back. We should rest as well. Perhaps the Grand Elder will come tomorrow morning. The black-clothed elder beside her knows this place. Meng Yao said to Peng Zhan. Peng Zhan had spent quite a bit of time talking about the past, and it was already night time. Okay, Yao Yao, I'll be going then. I won't be participating in tomorrow's matter. Please. Peng Zhan knew that it wasn't a good time for him to show his face tomorrow. He was afraid that the Grand Elder would be embarrassed if he saw him. After all, Mr. Yang used to support him. Don't worry, Uncle Chu. I'll help Yao Yao and make Auntie come back. Lin Yi nodded. Peng Zhan didn't say anything else. He stood up and left the villa with Faubert. They got in the car and disappeared into the night. In the villa, Meng Yao stood up and yawned. All right, Shu, come sleep with me upstairs. It's not like I won't come back if I leave. But Shu followed Meng Yao upstairs obediently. She knew that this might be the last day she'd be sleeping with Meng Yao. Lin Yi sighed. Although he also wanted to follow, he still said, Little Han, you also go rest, I will also sleep. Okay. Han didn't expect something like this to happen in Lin Yi's house. She nodded and went upstairs. After returning to his room, Lin Yi sat cross-legged on his bed and began cultivating the third stage of the art of dragon mastery. Lin Yi knew that only by working harder could he make his voice heard in the ancient realm. Otherwise, Xiao Xiao and Yao Yao would be manipulated by others, even Xiao Shu and Little Jiao in the future. Although Lin Yi's relationship with Blazing Mountain and Yellow Earth High Faction was not bad, but if they wanted to do something, Lin Yi couldn't stop them. However, if he was strong enough, he could protect them. Upstairs, Meng Yao and Yushu's room. Although the lights had been turned off, neither of the sisters was asleep. Shu, are you asleep? Meng Yao. No, Yao Yao sis, what about you? Yushu asked. Of course not, how else would I be talking to you? Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Oh, Yao Yao sis, you are leaving tomorrow, I can't sleep, Yushu said. Yeah, me too, Meng Yao smiled, but her smile was a little sad. Then let's talk. Yushu nodded. It's so miraculous, I didn't think that I'd be an inheritor. Meng Yao sighed. I never would have thought of this before. It seems like our lives have changed a lot ever since Lin Yi came to the villa. Yeah, then Yao Yao sis, do you regret it? Yushu asked. Regret? Of course not, it's good this way, it's much more interesting than before. Besides, if it wasn't for Lin Yi, we would have been dead already. One Zhao Qibing is enough to kill us, Meng Yao said. I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about, do you regret it? You didn't get to enjoy the moonlight first? Yushu asked. Enjoy the moonlight first? Meng Yao paused, then blushed. Luckily, it was dark, so Yushu couldn't see it. Don't talk nonsense, Lin Yi and I are pure friends. I didn't say that, Yao Yao sis. Your thoughts are not pure, thinking of Shield Bro all of a sudden. It seems like there's something wrong. Yushu giggled. Then what did you say? Meng Yao humphed and asked. I said that Yao Yao sis didn't push Shield Bro down. Do you regret it? Yushu said. What's the difference? Meng Yao raged. Are you trying to trick me? See if I don't tear your mouth apart. However, although Meng Yao said that, she didn't really tear Shu's mouth apart, because she didn't want to play with Yushu anymore. She was leaving tomorrow, and she didn't have the mood. Hehe, actually, Yao Yao sis is at the same level as Shield Bro's other wives now. They are all vice palace masters, elders, and inheritors. Yao Yao sis is also one. Yao Yao sis will be very powerful in the future. Yushu said, now we're just waiting for Shu to work hard and become an inheritor, then we can work together again. Ah, okay, work hard then. Meng Yao thought that Yushu was joking, so she smiled. Let's reminisce about this year. Okay. Yushu said, it was March 12th this year, right? Shield Bro moved into the villa for the first time. We still hated Shield Bro then. Yeah, it was March 12th, but I met the robbers on March 13th, and it was also then that I started to think that Lin Yi wasn't a bad person, at least he stood up for me. Meng Yao nodded. Meng Yao and Yushu were reminiscing about the events of the past year, and before they knew it, the sun had already risen. Today was destined to be a sleepless night, and many people had insomnia. Other than Meng Yao and Yushu, Peng Zhan also had insomnia, and the Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed of the Palace of Darkness also had insomnia. The two of them were discussing how to convince Meng Yao, but after a whole night, they still couldn't come up with any results. After all, the Grand Elder really didn't know how to persuade others, and she thought that Meng Yao would happily go back with her, but this situation caught her off guard. Chapter 3094. However, she was rejected by the Great Elder. After all, Yuana was an expert. She would be heartbroken if she was replaced. In addition, Dongfang Brua was also suffering from insomnia. Previously, Dongfang Cha had helped him find a female student. He had called to say that he had found one, but she never came back. When Dongfang Brua called again, Dongfang Cha's phone was turned off. Dongfang Brua didn't think much of it before. However, Dongfang Cha still did not appear in the middle of the night. Dongfang Brua called again, but her phone was still turned off. He became anxious and quickly called his father, Dongfang Jinxing. Brua? It's so late. What's the matter? Dongfang Jinxing practiced at night. As the head of the Dongfang family, he had to deal with a lot of things during the day. He could only practice at night, which was why he was slower than Dongfang Yinxing. Dad, Dongfang Cha disappeared. Dongfang Brua said anxiously. Dongfang Cha? Disappeared? What do you mean? Dongfang Jinxing didn't understand what Dongfang Brua meant. Wasn't he with you? Why did he disappear? He went out and never came back. Dongfang Brua hesitated. He didn't know that his father, Dongfang Jinxing, already knew that he had sent Dongfang Cha to find beautiful women for him, so he stuttered and didn't dare to tell the truth. He found you a female student, right? Dongfang Jinxing said directly. He didn't come back after he went out? Dad, you know? Dongfang Brua was shocked. Could it be that his father stopped Dongfang Cha from coming back? That couldn't be right. From his father's tone, he didn't know that Dongfang Cha didn't come back, so he quickly said, yes, he called me earlier and said that he found two of the best. He came back immediately, but there was no news after that. He told me about this before, I know, but he had already found two female students, and when he was about to come back, he disappeared? Dongfang Jinxing was shocked, but he was a little confused. What could happen to Dongfang Cha in the secular world? His phone was turned off, and there's no news at all. Dongfang Brua said. Okay, I got it. Don't sleep. I'll investigate and contact you immediately. Although Dongfang Jinxing felt that Dongfang Cha should be fine, he still stood up and decided to check the surveillance footage from Dongfang Cha's car. When Dongfang Jinxing heard Dongfang Brua's words, he immediately ended his cultivation. After a simple tidying up, He quickly walked towards the surveillance room of the Dongfang family. The Dongfang family was a relatively modern family. At the very least, they had things that people nowadays could use. They all knew how to use it and were even more advanced. Moreover, the way they dressed was exactly the same as that of modern people. Dongfang Jingxing quickly walked into the control room, and the disciple in charge of guarding the control room hurriedly greeted him, "Young patriarch. Why you here?" "Okay, can you show me the video of Dongfang Cha after she went to East Ocean City?" Dongfang Jingxing said to the disciple. Without the authorization of Dongfang Jingxing or Dongfang Bidao, even the disciples who guard the monitoring room can't access the monitoring at will. "All right, young master, please authorize your fingerprint." After the disciple pulled up the monitoring footage, he couldn't play it. He needed Dongfang Jingxing or Dongfang Bidao's fingerprint authorization. Dongfang Jingxing nodded, then reached out and swiped on the fingerprint device. With a beep sound, the fingerprint verification was successful, and the computer began to play Dongfang Cha's every move. Before, it was the scene of Dongfang Cha and Dongfang Bidao just arriving in East Ocean City. Then, it was the scene of Dongfang Cha driving to the East Ocean Industry University. Then, Dongfang Cha waited for a while downstairs. Dongfang Jingxing fast-forwarded all of this until Dongfang Cha knocked out the two girls. Here comes the main point. "It's Elder Dark Knight of the Dark Palace?" Dongfang Jingxing saw the person on the screen and was shocked. The Grand Elder of the Dark Palace was respectfully called Elder Dark Knight. It didn't mean that she had this name, but that every generation of Grand Elder would have this name. However, this wasn't all that surprising. What happened next made Dongfang Jingxing's face turn extremely ugly. Elder Dark Knight had actually killed Dongfang Cha. After that, the image was cut off. It seemed like Elder Dark Knight had gotten someone to find the surveillance camera and destroy it. "Dark Palace, you and I have no grievances. How dare you kill the elder of my Dongfang family? Do you think the elder of our Dongfang family is easy to bully?" Because from the screen, Dongfang Jingxing didn't know that Meng Yao was the inheritor of the Dark Palace. In Dongfang Jingxing's eyes, they were just two beautiful little girls. Wasn't Elder Dark Knight a busybody? "We caught our people, what does it have to do with you? Do you think you're a hero who will help others when you see injustice?" Dongfang Jingxing was very angry. This was the third person of his family to die in a row. Before it was Dongfang Bidao, then Dongfang Jian, and finally Dongfang Cha. These were all first-class masters and they all died like this? No matter how powerful the Dongfang family was, it was enough to lose 3 heaven-class masters in a row. Dongfang Jingxing didn't dare to make a decision. He copied the video into his phone and then quickly walked to the place where Dongfang Bidao practiced. As soon as Dongfang Jingxing walked to the door of Dongfang Bidao's room, he heard Dongfang Inxing's question inside. After all, who in the Dongfang family would come here in the middle of the night? So his tone was a little bad. "Come in, it's Jingxing." Dongfang Bidao spoke at this time. He was stronger than Dongfang Inxing, so he heard the footsteps from Dongfang Jingxing. "Yes, father." Dongfang Jingxing pushed the door and walked into the room, then hurriedly said, "Dad, second brother, something big happened, Dongfang Cha, also dead." "What?" Dongfang Bidao suddenly stood up, and his eyes were full of incredible look. "Jingxing, what did you say? Dongfang Cha also died? How did she die? Was she killed when she went to investigate the cause of Dongfang Jian's death?" Chapter 3095. Dark Knight Palace? Elder Anya? Fuck her, what does it have to do with her that Biu Biu is looking for a woman? Is she in menopause? Dongfang Inxing was furious after hearing it. This was also a spoiled Dongfang Biu. Dongfang Inxing had no children and regarded Dongfang Biu and Dongfang Biu as his own. It could be said that in the family, Dongfang Bidao was the first to spoil them, Dongfang Inxing was the second, and Dongfang Jingxing was the third. However, Dongfang Jingxing sometimes did not dare to discipline Dongfang Biu and Dongfang Biu too much. So, Dongfang Biu went out to show off and was beaten to death. Dongfang Biu went out to look for a woman, and the elder Dongfang Cha was beaten to death. Because of what? Dongfang Bidao frowned. "Jingxing, are you telling the truth? You didn't hide anything?" "Dad, these are all our people, I have nothing to hide. Dongfang Jingxing smiled bitterly and said, I have a video of what happened at that time, have a look. Dongfang Bidao nodded. Although he was shocked, it was difficult to understand why the Supreme Elder of the Dark Night Palace would attack Dongfang Cha. There was no reason at all. However, after watching the video, Dongfang Bidao was also inexplicable. How did Dongfang Cha die? It seemed that Elder Anya was standing up for the two girls who were caught. But who were the two girls? Dongfang Bidao did not think that the disciples of the ancient level would go to school in the secular world. There were in the hidden level, but it was basically impossible in the ancient level, so Dongfang Bidao ruled out the possibility that the two girls were disciples of the Dark Night Palace. But if they were not disciples, were they relatives of Elder Anya? Tomorrow, issue a letter of challenge. We, the Dongfang family, declare war on the Dark Night Palace. The reason is Dongfang Cha. Dongfang Bidao said coldly, we dare not find trouble with the everyday and tomorrow sect for the time being, but the Dark Night Palace, During this time, the Dongfang family members died one after another, which made Dongfang Bidao unable to bear it. This time, he wanted to vent the anger in his heart on the Dark Night Palace. Dongfang Bu died, but he did not dare to take revenge. Dongfang Jian died, but he did not know how he died. Only the death of Dongfang Cha, the Dongfang family dared to take action. His father. Then tomorrow morning, what reason should I use to challenge the Palace of Darkness? Dongfang Jingxing asked. Let's just tell the truth. We can't hide this. If the truth is different from what we say and the Palace of Darkness spreads it, it won't be good for us. We have to tell the truth. Dongfang Bidao pondered for a moment and said, it's just capturing 2 female students in the secular world. It's not a big deal. No one can say anything wrong about our Dongfang family. All right, I understand. Dongfang Jingxing nodded. Indeed, although this matter sounded a bit absurd, which ancient sect didn't have a bit of filth? Dongfang Jingxing knew that there were also ancient sects that supported the merchants of the secular world to smuggle and rob. Many people were well aware of this, so it was really not a big deal to bully people. This night, Dongfang Jingxing didn't sleep. He had been thinking about how to deal with the Palace of Darkness. After all, he would declare war on the Palace of Darkness tomorrow morning. He must have the first step of the plan. Otherwise, he would be laughed at by others. The next day, when the sky was just getting bright, Dongfang Jingxing sent a fax letter to all the ancient sections. This was a letter to declare war on the Palace of Darkness. Because the Dongfang family was a modern family, they used fax instead of pigeons or letters. In fact, other ancient sects also had fax, but these ancient sects were not used to using it. Dongfang Jingxing's declaration of war shocked many of the ancient sections. For so many years, there hadn't been a battle between the ancient sections. But now, it actually happened, and it was the powerful Dongfang family against the weak Dark Palace? Of course, after reading the contents of the letter, everyone didn't think that the Dongfang family was bullying the Palace of Darkness. After all, the people of the Dongfang family said very clearly that it was the Grand Elder of the Palace of Darkness who first killed Elder Dongfang Cha of the Dongfang family. The cause was just that Dongfang Cha had captured 2 female students. This caused the ancient sects to immediately lean towards the Dongfang family's side. Which ancient sect didn't have a bit of filth? In everyone's eyes, what the Dongfang clan had done was really nothing. This supreme elder was simply meddling in other people's business. He deserved to be challenged by others. Didn't you, Elder Dark Knight, enter the mundane world to find an inheritor? Why didn't you find the inheritor, so you went to meddle in other people's business? Are you so bored that your balls hurt? Of course, she didn't have balls. Otherwise, if anyone did something bad in the dark and the other ancient sects interfered, would they still be able to live? So, no one stood up for the Palace of Darkness. Of course, they also knew that the declaration of war would only cause the Palace of Darkness to lose some people and pay some price. The Palace of Darkness couldn't be destroyed, and the Dongfang family wouldn't dare to destroy the Palace of Darkness. However, not long after the news of the Dongfang family declaring war on the Palace of Darkness was released, the pigeons of the palace's black-clothed elders also reached the desks of the various ancient sects. The Dongfang family actually captured the inheritor that the Palace of Darkness was looking for. This news was like an explosion in the ancient sections. This time, no one said anything bad about the Palace of Darkness. They all started to criticize the Dongfang family's elder Dongfang Cha for acting recklessly. She dared to capture the inheritor of the Palace of Darkness. Wasn't that asking for death? Luckily, she was discovered by Elder Dark Knight and killed Dongfang Cha in time to save the inheritor. If the inheritor was really harmed by Dongfang Brua, then the result? If the Five Elements sect knew, they would probably destroy the Dongfang family. In the ancient sects, each sect leader more or less knew something about the Five Elements sect. And these people were mostly Heaven-class late-phase peak or perfect late-phase peak Heaven-class masters. They all looked forward to the start of the Heaven-class Island project, hoping that one day they could successfully step into the Heavenly Law. And so, these inheritors became the key to the Heavenly Island project. The Dark Palace had just found an inheritor, but he was almost killed by Dongfang Brua of the Dongfang clan. This didn't just affect the Dark Palace's benefits, it affected the benefits of the entire ancient world. Chapter 3096. This was not a joke, he was the inheritor of the Heavenly Stage Island plan. Compared with ascending to the Heavenly Tao, what were those filthy sects? Therefore, everyone felt that Elder Anya had done too much, and Dongfang Brua should be killed too. Of course, Dongfang Jinxing, who got the news for the first time, was so angry that he almost vomited blood. The person that Dongfang Cha caught happened to be the inheritor that the Dark Palace was looking for? How could it be so coincidental? However, he also knew that the Dark Knight Palace wouldn't lie to him about this. They would know the truth with just one look. Since it was Dongfang Cha who captured him, it must be the heir of the Dark Knight Palace. This also explained why Elder Dark Knight would kill someone out of anger for no reason. You almost killed the heir of the Dark Knight Palace. No one could accept that. I'm so angry, I'm so angry. Dongfang Jinxing felt that he had done an extremely stupid thing. If he had known that things would be like this, he would never have sent a letter of challenge. As a result, the Dongfang family had become the laughingstock in the eyes of all the ancient sections. It was fine that no one supported them, but the key was that everyone was scolding the Dongfang family for being shameless. They had made a mistake, but they were the first to complain, pretending to be wronged, and deceiving everyone's feelings. Dongfang Jinxing knew that the prestige of the Dongfang family had not only plummeted, but even if they wanted to find trouble with the Dark Palace, they couldn't. Because now all the ancient sects did not support the Dongfang family's approach. If there was no previous letter of challenge, then after the Dark Palace issued a statement, Dongfang Jinxing could still jump out and pretend to be wronged to gain sympathy. After all, although they had caught your inheritor, they didn't know. Couldn't they tell us? Did they have to kill people? In this way, there might be people who would support them. After all, who didn't know? Who could be faultless? If it was someone from other ancient sects, would you kill him directly? But now, it was useless to say anything. It was just a joke. Taking a deep breath, Dongfang Jinxing quickly walked to Dongfang Bideo's room. This time, he didn't knock on the door and didn't wait for the person inside to speak. Jinxing, has the letter of challenge been sent out? When Dongfang Bideo saw Dongfang Jinxing breaking in, he was a little unhappy. You are also a cultivator. Don't you know that it is not good to disturb others' cultivation? However, Dongfang Bideo thought that Dongfang Xingzhou was too excited to deal with the Dark Palace, and didn't say much. Yes, it has been sent out. Dongfang Bideo nodded and said with a grim face, but our Dongfang family has lost a lot of face this time. What do you mean? Dongfang Bideo suddenly froze, and Dongfang Inxing next to him also opened his eyes and looked at Dongfang Jinxing strangely. My challenge has just been sent out. At this time, the ancient era is still supporting us to take revenge. Everyone knows in their hearts that which sect doesn't have some dirty dealings? So they all thought that Elder Dark Knight of the Dark Knight Palace was being a busybody. But who would have thought that not long after, the Dark Knight Palace also made a statement, saying that our Dongfang family went to capture their inheritor. One of the two female students turned out to be the inheritor of the Dark Knight Palace. This is great, All the ancient era is scolding our Dongfang family to die. It's good that one dies, the whole family should die. Dongfang Jinxing said hatefully, now, our Dongfang family is in a dilemma. Revenge, that is impossible. If we don't retaliate, it is equivalent to slapping our own face. We have lost our face to the Pacific Ocean. The statement issued by the Dark Knight Palace later? After us? Dongfang Badeo frowned and said, if this is the case, then they did it on purpose? Why didn't they say it before, but after we sent the letter of challenge? Isn't it clear that our Dongfang family is humiliated? Jinxing, as long as you grasp this point, there is still a chance to make a comeback. It has to be said that the older the ginger, the spicier. Dongfang Badeo found a solution at once. Although Dongfang Badeo didn't say that the Dark Knight Palace was lying and did it on purpose, other ancient sects would inevitably think about it. At that time, the pressure on the Dongfang family would be greatly relieved. Dad, if this is the case, what you said is a good idea, but the Dark Knight Palace used a pigeon letter. Now it seems that the statement was sent out after the incident yesterday, but everyone just received it now, and we used a fax. Dongfang Jinxing said weakly. This. Dongfang Badeo was stunned, and suddenly remembered that their Dongfang family used modern equipment. In the past, he often laughed at other ancient sects for being backward, wearing ancient clothes and using pigeons. Weren't they tired? But today, Dongfang Badeo discovered that although the fax was convenient, but if the Dongfang family didn't have a fax, then this matter would be much easier. After all, using a pigeon letter was not as convenient as a fax. First, a professional beast tamer had to show the pigeon the map, determine the direction, and then set off. In this time, the news of the Dark Knight Palace had already spread. It was really Xiao He who won and Xiao He who lost. Father, this matter can't be done anymore. We don't need to say anything more about this matter. The temporary tolerance is just for revenge in the future. Dongfang Yinxing said at this time, the Dark Knight Palace? We will remember this account first, wait for this period of time to pass, then we will find trouble with the Dark Knight Palace. Now it's impossible. Yes, Yinxing is right, Jinxing, don't be angry, do what you should do, and send another elder to assist Dongfang Buqiu, but things like catching female students, don't do it anymore, settle Su Shihan's matter, then come back. Dongfang Badeo said. Yes, father. Dongfang Jinxing took a deep breath, calmed the depressed mood in his heart, nodded and left. Although Dongfang Jinxing's heart was extremely angry, but after returning to his room, he still calmly dialed Dongfang Buqiu's phone and told him what happened. So it's like this. Then Dongfang Cha is dead. On my side, what about Su Shihan's matter? Dongfang Buqiu asked with some worry, but in his heart, he was cursing Dongfang Cha, this bastard, going out to catch people without eyes. How did he provoke the inheritor of the Dark Knight Palace? There were so many beautiful women, but you caught an inheritor, it's really good. Chapter 3097. I'll send another master to help you with Su Shihan. This time, it's Elder Dongfang Song from House Dongfang. Don't make any unreasonable requests. His main task is to help you capture Su Shihan. Dongfang Jinxing said. Yes. Dongfang Burua wasn't happy, but he still nodded. He had no choice. He had to listen to Dongfang Jinxing. And come back early after this. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up first. Dongfang Jinxing said. After hanging up, Dongfang Burua didn't have any reason to stay in the hotel. He might as well go out and see if there was anything interesting. Since he couldn't capture female students, he could still go to the brothels. But just as he left the hotel, he saw someone that made him excited. It was Su Shihan's manager, Wang Sis. She was staying in this hotel as well. This made Dongfang not weak very excited. It really was a case of wearing out iron shoes in fruitless searching and finding what she was looking for. He thought it would take a while to find out where Su Shihan was, but he didn't think that she would deliver herself to his doorstep. Dongfang Burua didn't hesitate and quietly followed her. Wang Sis, on the other hand, was just a normal person. Naturally, she wouldn't feel that she was being followed by a practitioner. Wang Sis drove to Lin Yi's villa as usual. Dongfang Burua saw this scene and didn't force his way in. He memorized the route and returned to the hotel. Mia was right. The two elders were standing in Lin Yi's villa early in the morning, not daring to barge in. They flew into the villa, but didn't dare barge in. Lin Yi, what's the matter with you? Lin Yi asked. We're here. In fact, when Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed appeared in the courtyard, Lin Yi already felt it. It was just that Lin Yi didn't go out. After all, Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed didn't have any bad intentions. Why would Lin Yi go out so early? After ending his training, Lin Yi opened the window and looked at Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed. He said indifferently, Meng Yao hasn't woken up yet. If you wake her up, you'll have to bear the consequences. I'm telling you, she hates it when people disturb her sleep. If she doesn't sleep well, she'll be in a bad mood. If she doesn't go to the Palace of Darkness with you, you'll be crying. The Great Elder was infuriated by Lin Yi's words. Just as he was about to scold him, he was stopped by the black-clothed elder. Grand Elder, please calm down. Don't bother with this guy, we're here for Meng Yao. Let's just wait for a while. The elder in black said quickly. Yes, you're right. I won't lower myself to your level. The Great Elder nodded and ignored Lin. Instead, he stood in the courtyard silently. Just like that, he waited. In actuality, Meng Yao hadn't slept at all. She'd heard the elder's voice as well. She had already gotten up to wash up. Meng Yao and Yushu came downstairs a while later, but they didn't see the Grand Elder in the living room. Wasn't the Grand Elder already here? You guys are awake. Lin Yi walked out of the room, but couldn't help but smile bitterly when he saw the dark circles under Meng Yao and Shu's eyes. Looks like you two didn't sleep at all. Yeah, I couldn't sleep either, so I didn't sleep. Meng Yao sighed and asked curiously, Lin Yi, where's the Grand Elder? Why don't I see her? She's standing at the door. Lin Yi shrugged. Don't mind her, we'll talk after dinner. That's not good, is it? The miss was still kind. Lin Yi smiled. All right then, I'll go cook. You let her in. Meng Yao nodded and went to open the villa's door. The Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed were already standing outside the door. Meng Yao, what's your decision? The Grand Elder was strong. She'd heard the conversation between Lin Yi and Meng Yao loud and clear, so she knew that Meng Yao was awake. She just didn't want to make a scene. Come in. The miss, naturally, wouldn't reveal her trump cards so easily. She didn't say yes, nor did she say no. All right. As far as the Grand Elder was concerned, letting her in meant that there was progress. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to get the door shut. She quickly went into the living room with the black-clothed elder and sat on the sofa. Meng Yao, I believe you know what it means to be an inheritor, right? Your friends, Xiao Xiao and Tang Yun, are inheritors, right? We've already investigated this, and you can imagine the benefits. The Grand Elder and the black-clothed elder were discussing yesterday, and naturally, they'd investigated Meng Yao's friends as well. She wanted to use them as an example. Tang Yun. Meng Yao's heart skipped a beat. Luckily, Lin Yi had gone to the kitchen to make breakfast. Otherwise, he'd definitely ask who Tang Yun was. But Meng Yao couldn't really say anything. She said calmly, Don't mention my friends. Now, I just want to ask, what can I get from the Palace of Darkness? The Palace Master of the Palace of Darkness, all of the palace's training resources are open to you. The Grand Elder said. Grand Elder, let's talk openly and honestly, Yi Futian said. Meng Yao was very rational. She'd thought about it all night. She looked at the Grand Elder and said slowly, You're hiding something from me, aren't you? What can I hide? The Grand Elder's face changed. Meng Yao, what do you mean? It seems like you don't want me to go to the Palace of Darkness, Grand Elder. Meng Yao shook her head. Then there's no need for us to talk anymore. You're hiding something from me, and you're not telling me. How can I guarantee that you'll keep your promise? What are you trying to say? The Great Elder took a deep breath as if he had thought of something, but he asked with uncertainty. One for one. Meng Yao said, I think I've made myself clear enough. Grand Elder, you should be able to understand. If you agree, then we'll talk about the rest. Otherwise, there's nothing to talk about. You know everything? About your mom? The Grand Elder was now completely certain that Meng Yao knew about Yi Wan-er's situation. Otherwise, she wouldn't have suggested a one-for-one trade. Chapter 3098. I need to think about it. The Grand Elder's face wasn't looking too good. This was the condition she didn't want to accept the most, but she didn't expect Meng Yao to be the first to bring it up. It seemed like the black-clothed elder was right. What other conditions do you have? Tell me all of them and I'll think about them. The other thing is, I want absolute freedom. My friends can come and see me anytime, or I'll come home when I'm free. You can't stop me from calling my friends and family. Meng Yao said. That's right. That's not a problem. The Grand Elder already knew that Meng Yao's personality was completely different from Yi Wan-er's. It was basically impossible to expect Meng Yao to be as docile as Yi Wan. So, the Grand Elder didn't even think about it and agreed to Meng Yao's request. She knew that even if she didn't agree, she couldn't do anything if Meng Yao insisted. Don't let me go home? Don't let me see my friends? Fine, I won't train anymore, I won't inherit anymore. What can you do? So, in order to make Meng Yao happy, the Grand Elder agreed without hesitation. As for the first condition, since it involved the Dark Palace's benefits, she had to think about it carefully. She couldn't make a decision right now. That's all. If you agree, I'll go with you. Meng Yao said. If not, then there's nothing I can do. The Grand Elder took a deep breath. She almost nodded in agreement. After all, Meng Yao said that she'd go with her if she agreed. In her heart, she really wanted Meng Yao to leave right now. But her rationality made her say, I'll think about it and give you an answer. All right. Meng Yao nodded. At that moment, Lin Yi had already put the breakfast on the table. Yao Yao, Chuhan, time to eat. Lin Yi called, not putting the Grand Elder in his eyes at all. All right. Let's eat then, I'm hungry. The Grand Elder had been thinking about how to get Meng Yao to train with her at the Dark Palace yesterday, so she didn't eat dinner at all. She was a little hungry now. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare your share. Lin Yi shrugged and pointed to the food on the table. This is our own. The Great Elder's face immediately turned red, but he remembered that he couldn't get angry at this moment. Everything had to be done for the sake of the sect, so he just coldly snorted and said, This old one is a heaven stage expert. They were cultivators. He didn't need to eat. I'm just teasing you. Even if you want me to eat it, I won't. Hey let's go. Yes. Grand Elder. The black-clothed elder quickly replied. Thus, the Grand Elder quickly left with the black-clothed elder, not leaving a single cloud behind. Chu Mengyao let out a long sigh of relief as the Grand Elder left. She sat down at the table. It seems like my conditions have troubled the Grand Elder. It doesn't matter. As long as we stick to this bottom line, she will compromise. Lin Yi said as he gave the miss a look. This is also your father's wish. Otherwise, you wouldn't have left, right? Yes, if my mother doesn't come back, I'd rather die than leave. Meng Yao paused, but she still played along with Lin. Not far from the door, the Grand Elder and the black-clothed elder were hiding in the dark. They didn't leave yet. The Grand Elder wanted to eavesdrop on Meng Yao's conversation after they left. He wanted to know what Meng Yao's bottom line was. But when the Grand Elder heard Meng Yao's words, she staggered. She wouldn't leave even if she died? Her face darkened. It seemed like she had no choice but to agree. Let's go. The Grand Elder stopped eavesdropping and quickly left with the black-clothed elder. The Grand Elder was a Sky Class Master. Don't forget that Lin Yi was also a Sky Class Master. Lin Yi also felt that the Grand Elder didn't leave, so he asked Meng Yao. His goal was to let the Grand Elder eavesdrop. Now he achieved his goal. All right, the Grand Elder left. She was eavesdropping just now. Lin Yi said to Meng Yao, let's eat. So that's how it is. The miss understood. Lin Yi, do you think she'll agree? Theoretically, it shouldn't be a problem, Lin Yi said. With that, everyone started to eat their breakfast in silence. Meng Yao's departure was getting closer and closer, and the whole living room was filled with a sad atmosphere. It was an indescribable sadness. Today, Meng Yao and Yushu didn't go to school but stayed at home. Perhaps they would leave tonight. Meng Yao couldn't bear to leave. She couldn't bear to leave her daddy, couldn't bear to leave Shu, couldn't bear to leave General Wei Wu, couldn't bear to leave. With Dong Fangcha's death, House Dongfang sent another elder. However, this elder was a sky class mid-phase. His name was Dongfang Song. When he came, he received orders from Dongfang Jingxing to only cooperate with Dongfang Buqiu to deal with Su Shihan and the people around her. Other than that, he was not to agree to any of Dongfang Buqiu's requests. If he couldn't change his mind, he would call Dongfang Jingxing and let him talk to Dongfang Buqiu. Fortunately, Dongfang Buqiu was well behaved this time. He knew what his father sent this person for, so he didn't make any unreasonable requests. Of course, Dongfang Buqiu didn't feel guilty at all for Dongfang Cha's death. As far as he was concerned, it was Dongfang Cha who didn't use her eyes and clashed with the Dark Palace's popularity. Who could he blame? Why didn't you find out about the student's background before you captured her? Go up and capture her? Aren't you afraid of death? And so, Dongfang Buqiu didn't feel guilty at all. One had to say, Dongfang Buqiu relied on his identity as the only heir to the head of the house. Otherwise, why would the Dongfang people respect him? Young Master Buqiu, the head of the house asked me to cooperate with you to deal with Su Shihan and the people around her. Dongfang Song told Dongfang Buqiu his goal as soon as he came. He wanted Dongfang Buqiu to know that this was his goal and not to cause any more trouble.